What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Thursday night episode of the Live Well. We got a good show for you guys tonight. We got the man Caz Anderson in studio with us. We got Clint Bartlett on my right here, and Alex Purrs running the boards.
What's up, fellers?
And we're going to kick this off. We'll go ahead and start with our sponsors real quick. First up, we got Sonar Pros. Sorry, Alex. I had Alex behind there for a second.
Having some mouse issues.
Mouse issues. We got Sonar Pros. Hey guys, if you want to get your boat rig, take it where the pros go. Take it to Sonar Pros. Call Trent and the guys down there. You're not going to be disappointed in having your boat rigged by those guys. They do a really good job. I know, Clint, you got your boat rigged by them.
Oh yeah, going there again next week.
Going again next week. So hey, give Trent and them a call. You can have it rigged by somebody else, but I promise you'll be looking for Trent and them to fix some stuff. Call them 770-530-4505. Next up, we got Lip Sticker Fishing, Kevin Underwood. Listen, I've been with him. Alex, I know you've been out there with him. Clint, you been with Kevin?
I hadn't fished with him, but I've been around him and talked with him enough to know he's the deal.
He has got some stuff going on. He's probably one of the best guides on Lanier, I think. Like I said, I mean, I'm kind of partial, I guess.
I agree.
But, give Kevin a call or text 678-459-8419 or Kevin@lipstickerfishing.com. He also does a Patreon. And I'm telling you right now, I did it for a little while. Alex, I know you had done it for a while.
I did it for a while too.
And that he gives away the juice on that stuff. He shows you how to get on the megalodons, catching those spotted bass on Lake Lanier. You won't be disappointed in that. You can find it at patreon.com/lipstickerfishing, excuse me. Next up, we got Evolve Rod Sleeves. Listen, we want to protect those investments. Evolve Rod Sleeves. They got all the protective pieces on there that you can find, the rubber tip, the rubber collar on there. It's got the tether that goes around the reel handle. They float. They're hook resistant. You need to protect your rods. Get you an Evolve Rod Sleeve. You won't be disappointed. You can find them at evolvefishing.com. Next, we got the Money Saver Lure Retriever. We all know we're going to get hung up somewhere when we're fishing, whether it be a brush pile or something like that. You want to get the best lure retriever on the market, and that's the Money Saver Lure Retriever. It goes down like a missile, hits that bait, get your bait back, do it every time. Invest. It's a cheap investment compared to what we spend on lures. Get you one. All right, next up, we got Bill Payne, the legend, Bill Payne Guide Service. Give him a call, 706-280-2305. I know the time I've got to talk with Bill, the man is so smart, and he gives away so much juice. It's almost like he has more than he almost has more than he knows he has, I guess. He just gives it away for free sometimes. So give him a call if you want to get on Lake Allatoona, go catch some, big spotted bass in Allatoona. I think he also does seasonal smallmouth trips to other lakes. So give him a call and set that up with him. Next, we got Brooks Anderson and Brooks Anderson Fishing. He is a super cool guy to talk to and a great guide on Lanier. He specializes in taking those young anglers fishing, those folks that want to get started in the fishing industry, your college guys, your high school guys, anybody that wants to get started, young kids, get them hooked up with Brooks Anderson Fishing. Check out his YouTube. He's got YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. I promise you won't be disappointed if you book a trip with him. And then we got Big League jumped in there first. It's Big League Charters out of Knoxville, Tennessee. It's Captain Robert Rablowski. I had it pulled up on my phone, but the phones went off. So listen, give him a call if you're up near. What is it? Let me look at my phone real quick because I've got his whole spiel.
He's got Cherokee, Douglas, Chickamauga, Tellico, Fort Loudon, Watts Bar.
Yep. Chickamauga, Tellico, Fort Loudon, Douglas Lake, targeting smallmouth and largemouth, spotted bass year round, winter crappie trips, December through March on Chick, electronics training as well. And for it's fun for beginners and good help for you tournament guys. Give Rob a call. Let's go fishing. Sorry about that, Rob. I'm still getting used to that one. That one's a whole new. That one's still brand new to me. But yeah. Next, we got Fishers of Hope. Our mission is to glorify God, be servants of His Word, and to bring those in need to peace and hope that only He can bring. Listen, this is a good group of folks to put on fishing tournaments for people in need. And I promise you, Tony is one of the super cool guys. He reached out to me several weeks back, tried to get me to fish the Chatuge tournament they had going on. I paid into it because I wanted to make sure I supported them. I just couldn't make it up there. But he is a super nice guy to talk to. And I promise you, this is the kind of stuff we want to see in the fishing industry, people helping other people. So, reach out to them at fishersofhopeministry@gmail.com. And I promise you won't be, you're not going to find a nicer group of folks. And if you're wanting to support the channel and also get your business seen by all of our loyal fans and viewers, get with Danny at FNGO.com. He will get you a spot on the show here. You can advertise. They'll get you out and see what your business, looks like in front of the folks that watch our show. And I know Danny would appreciate it, but I know it'll mean so much for your business, because we got so many loyal fans that watch this show week to week, and they comment, they see us out in public, so they remember the stuff that goes on this show. So reach out to Danny at FNGO.com if you want to get your business advertised on here. All right, I guess we'll. Oh, wait a minute, I almost messed up again. I don't know if anybody caught it last Thursday, but I forgot one. Turner Tire right behind it. Luckily, they get a spot the whole show, but I got home. I woke up the next morning. I was like, I completely forgot Turner Tire. I had one of those random thoughts. So anyway, if you're in the Jasper area and you need tires, wheels, brakes, alignment, that kind of stuff, reach out to
tires. They do those too.
Tires.
I got mine done not that long ago.
Exactly. So reach out to Turner Tire. They're great folks. 706-253-3339, and make sure you support your local businesses. And Turner Tire, I'm truly apologetic for missing that one last Thursday. I woke up Friday morning. I was like, I completely forgot Turner Tire.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I think I forgot them Tuesday. Now that I think about it.
Well, I'll be honest. I did check because I was like, I wonder if they remembered.
No, we forgot.
Y'all forgot it, but it's okay. We're making up for it tonight. And
you got the best seat in the house.
I was gonna say they do get one of the best seats. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't feel too bad because they do get the full show, but I still felt terrible. And I didn't even put it in the group chat. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. I'll just make up for it this Thursday. So anyway, who we got going in the chat so far? Kevin Thornton. Congrats, Caz. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hey, and Caz thinks you're awesome, and he's hoping you're feeling better. He's already asked how you were doing. So
workout there.
Yep.
Tuning in. Hell yeah.
Kevin, I wish you the best, brother.
Yes, sir.
Wish you were here with us.
Yep.
He's the man.
Yep. He said, yeah, exactly, man. Caz has talked your praises since he's been here, dude. So I know he'll be glad when you get back in the hot seat over here.
Thank you, Tyler.
Tyler Outdoors. Yep. So we got Doc Holliday in the house. Caz, my man.
Let me tell you a story that escalates.
Go ahead and tell us.
Doc, first smallmouth he'd ever caught. He wanted to come out there with me and go try to catch his first smallmouth. We organized a trip and went out there, and we just idled 3/4 of the day because of all the good conversations we were having. We caught some big largemouth that he caught his first smallmouth, and we keep in touch. And the first thing he's like, "Yeah, I watch this show every time." You're talking about loyal fans. I mean, this is insane. The way this has brought the whole South together.
Oh, absolutely.
Much, through fishing and. That's one of the best guys I ever took on a trip. One that I'll remember for the rest of my days.
And that makes a difference when you're guiding, having clients like that you'll remember.
Fun,
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
You talk about that, bringing us all together. I think you and I met for the first time out in Villarica, which is a good ways from here.
Yeah.
I mean, and just the small world that the fishing community is, and when you got good people like Caz and the fans that watch and all the guys that work for FNGO that would do the show and stuff, it's a cool environment, and that's one of the reasons I enjoy being here. So but yeah, I've seen Doc go I think with you, and then who was he out with?
He goes with the Brooks.
Brooks, that's who it was. Yeah, he was out with Brooks the other day. Yeah, so thank y'all for supporting all these guys that support the fishing community for sure. Ron Swinford, what's going on, Ron? Silver Pump, Gone Fishing with Diaz. Andy Anderson. Oh, we got Tony Watkins in the house. Watch out for old Caz. My wife's a fan girly when she met him at the Chatuge tournament. You just spoke of Tony. There you go. So did you fish that one? The last one they did at Chatuge?
I didn't get to do it.
Okay.
I haven't fished a tournament out there all year. But I was guiding that day, and I got to meet Tony and his wife. Good folks for sure.
Man, yeah. I mean, they're
top
super.
Notch.
I mean, we've not met in person, and the conversations that he and I had, I was like, dude, you can't. I mean,
this guy's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he's like, hey man, we got you. Come on up here and fish the tournament. And I wish I could have made it, but I'll get the next one. Thad Moody, what's going on, buddy? Welcome back. We got Andy Anderson in the house here. Caz, any update if they're doing the dam work on Chatuge in the near future? Great job on MLF this year.
Thank you, Andy. Yo, Andy. No, so I haven't really heard a definitive answer yet on this whole deal. It's definitely something I've been monitoring and
lay it out for us. What's going on?
Yeah, so the last few months, there's been talk of people or of the TVA having to draw down Lake Chatuge 23 feet low.
Mm-hmm.
So basically 10, 11 feet below winter pool, roughly. So basically anywhere that the lake is 23 feet or shallower is going to be dry land, which is insane to think about when you're out there. And, there's a lot of controversy behind that, as you can imagine. Chatuge and the whole North Georgia mountain area is, driven by summertime tourism.
Right.
All the lake homes. My dad's real estate. I'm a fishing guide. all the businesses, marinas, everything are going to be sitting on dry land, people's lake homes. You're looking at complete economic devastation.
Oh.
I mean, it's a way to put it, truthfully. Without saying, a whole lot, TVA, I'm no engineer. I don't really know what's to be, done. They've proposed a drawdown for 8 years to work on the spillway.
Wow.
8 years. There's not much public access up there as there is. And, there's going to be, they're said they're going to have to add on to a couple ramps. It's be pretty dangerous to operate your boat out there with it 23 feet low because the lake is pretty flat as a whole. There's going to be the river channel and then not much else. I don't know, man. Who knows what's to be in the future? I mean, I'd probably have to move somewhere myself.
Wow. You're talking about uprooting families at that point.
Yeah,
if you draw it down.
believe me. I mean, it's been a main topic, and a lot of the people up there, their summer homes that I mean, not just my business, but everybody else's. It's these people don't even know what's about to happen. And I don't know when it's going to happen. I've heard 2026. I've heard 2027, and I don't know. There's a bazillion different ways to look at it.
Right.
It's very, very hard to believe that it takes 8 years to complete a little small fracture in a spillway. But, like I said, man, it is what it is. You can't really, TVA is, they're going to do what they have to do, and you got to trust the judgment. And the way that they're kind of taking it about from what I see, which is the, optimistic way of looking at it, we had Hurricane Helene come very close to us.
Oh, yeah.
And, had that have struck our hometown, it would have busted the dam, and there wouldn't have been a town left anymore.
Right.
Like what could have happened, just east of us. That's something that you got to take into fact too. Maybe it's worth taking the precautions. Maybe it isn't. It's not really my decision to make, but we're going to see what happens. But I haven't heard any definitive answers on it yet, which is driving everybody insane because should I sell my home?
Right.
Should we move, close business? Because that's the thing. It's super hard to announce something like this and not expect just an uproar. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in the hometown the next couple of years.
So are they having any public hearings about it to let people know anything?
They've had a couple. Don't really seem to be. I mean, there's a couple committees, fundraising, things like that. But to be honest, I don't really know. I haven't got to attend any of them personally, so I can't really speak much on it. But I did have a talk with Georgia Outdoor News the other day talking about it. It's definitely a big concern and something that I'm extremely nervous about, and to say the least.
Right. And I mean, like bass fishing 336, some proposals and petitions will happen. That kind of stuff does happen for sure, but need to, make it the public has to have a voice. After working in government for most of my adult life, if you don't speak up, I promise you will get walked on.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mean that bad against government. I'm just telling you how it works in government. And I know that the TVA has to do what they have to do. And I wonder I'm just curious if there's any other options like,
Well, I mean, there wasn't any water on the dam at this time, but they built the whole dam. We're just talking about just working on the spillway.
Right.
They built the whole dam and the spillway in 1942 with a horse and buggy in 7 months. What you talking about 8 years?
8 years to fix something that took 7 months
and I've
to
heard
fix.
like safety precautions, quote unquote. And like I said, man, I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's hard to believe there's 8 years worth of safety precautions. Throwing a hard hat to get that dam fixed, boy. We got bass to catch.
Yeah, put on some scuba gear or something. Let's get it done for sure. And Tony says Chatuge gets down that low, it's going to be bad for everyone in the area, and even on Notley and other lakes, it'll be beyond crowded. Yeah, he's not wrong there. I mean, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough, and it's something that we probably don't talk enough about on here. And I'm glad y'all brought it up because that's something to keep in mind for sure. What else we got in the comments?
You got a lot of freaking congrats, man.
Yeah.
So let's start to dive into the old All American.
Yes,
What is the BFL All American?
Yeah, so it's a tournament. It's been a big deal for forever. I'd say it's arguably the third biggest tournament in bass fishing these days. You have the Bassmaster Classic, you got Red Crest, and then you got the All American for your guys that are, the weekend anglers that are out there fishing BFLs, and your guys. I mean, there's professionals that get into it as well. For me, two good buddies of mine, Emil Wagner, Paul Marks, both from the area, won the tournament the last 2 years. Last year, I was like, man, that seems to be pretty dang awesome right there. That's a life-changing event for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Went out and fished some BFLs up in Michigan to try to qualify for it. And, you have to fish a series of BFLs. So if y'all have like the Bulldog division,
Right.
South Carolina, the Gator, which is down in Florida, Chatuge, there's all the divisions. And you have to finish so high in that division to be able to move on to your regional, which is multiple divisions of BFLs combined into one.
Right.
And then they take the top 6 out of that regional. Well, that's what we did. I went up to Michigan and fished the wild card regional, which is like a division for people who didn't make the top so many. There's a system through MLF to get into the wild card where you don't have to fish all the tournaments. And that's what I did. Got lucky on Cherokee Lake, and Buddy Benson and I made the All American together. And Buddy's top 5 that event the last 3 years in a row. It was on Lake Hamilton out in Arkansas this year. So I'd never been there. Went out after the Bassmaster Open out in on Norfolk Lake to test it out and idle around and see. It was a mud hole when I went out there because of all the rain. They canceled our Bass Open, so I got to go to Hamilton for a day. And it was a cool lake. It reminded me a lot of Lake Sinclair, Lake Oconee, a little bit of bank grass, same pole docks, whole lake's a seawall, a lot of brush, a lot of points. And there's a lot of bass in it. So many bass. It's insane. But there's random big ones. It's like it was known to be like a couple of years ago, the All American was there. 3 days, 44 pounds won the tournament. So less than 15 a day.
Sabine weights.
Yeah. And and that guy blew it away. So we're all going into this tournament thinking, okay, 14, 15 a day is what it's going to take. And when practice, it's tough to catch a 2-pounder. But there's random, I started reading around and I saw the big fish there was a 10-something the week before we went. I'm like, this is not the right lake. I'm researching the wrong lake. And I didn't really believe it.
Right.
And then I started asking my buddies in the tournament, I was like, is there really like 10-pounders in here? And they're like, man, apparently there is. Like, who knew? And lo and behold, in the tournament, first day, Buddy caught a 9.5-pounder and a couple other guys had an 8.
Yeah.
And it just, one big bite and then 4 just better than average fish was the key. I only had 10-something pounds on day 1.
Right.
Down and out, man, just bummed. Day 2, I was in 18th after day 1. Went out day 2, grinded all day, changed my approach up. Was on a killer buzzbait bite in practice. Was catching good ones, 3-pounders.
Oh yeah.
Which, the average there was, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And was getting a lot of bites. First day they dropped the water. So didn't really pick up on that till later in the day. And had to change things up, throw a Demiki rig, things like that. Late in the day on day 2, I was sitting on about 11 3/4 pounds. I'd see fish. Now, every tournament these days, it seems like you've got a Demiki rig, a jerkbait, a Nico rig, and a glide bait.
Right.
Seems to be your staples, live scope staples, right? And I'd thrown a Nico rig at these fish a lot, caught 1 or 2, but they just seemed like they wanted to dive all the way down to the bottom. They were like, go down, and like didn't want to put their nose in the dirt. Well, I tried on a drop shot for some reason, little bitty pink worm. Within the first 10 fish I throw out, I catch like an 8-4.
I saw it.
And I'm talking
Hang
about
on, back up. How'd this fish catch go down?
complete meltdown. Throw out there on this point, see this giant blob crawling along the bottom, throw out there. It dives down on my bait. I'm like, man, and I'm sitting there talking to my co-angler. Chris Jones is the MC for Major League Fishing Tournaments.
Right.
The guy that goes, wow,
Yeah.
it's been a dream of mine to get weighed in by this guy. So we're sitting there, me and my co-angler, I had the most awesome co-angler in the world named Levi. And we're sitting there just joking. We're like yelling at each other, 5 bass limit. You'll hear it if you watch my YouTube video. And literally spoke it into existence. Boom, giant one. 8-pounder, and of course when it's jumping, I'm like, it's a 10-pounder, it's a 10-pounder. Get it in the boat, puked everywhere.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my god!
I was gonna ask you, is that something you normally do? Do you
I've
get
dry heaved plenty of times, but like that time it was such an intense scenario, and like that was such a big fish, and like all the weight of the world was lifted off of me, and I just blew chunks everywhere.
I was actually watching the video. You dropped it yesterday. I think the video dropped. I watched it within 30 minutes of it coming out, and I'm sitting there in my living room watching it, where my wife's making dinner, and you're puking off the back of the boat, and I'm going, he's puking.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is I'm not saying it to poke fun. That's the most honest, sincere, and genuine like excitement
Shit's
that you can
real.
have.
Yeah.
We've all said, oh man, it almost made me puke. I was
Yeah.
so excited. He literally puked, and I was going, this dude. And it wasn't just that one time. I think the next big one you started dry heaving a little bit.
I
was
mean, like at Pickwick too, like I'll cough and laugh, and
yep,
I mean, just
I caught it on the
get-
Pickwick one.
Yeah, but
was
that
good.
time it was like an insane, like even when I'm carrying the bag like up to weigh, and like, man, I am so jacked up. I love it so much, and I'm telling you,
It might be the Red Bulls. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it is.
I'm
Man.
just messing with
I
you.
had it today. Like the guy I had on a trip with me today, he's like, "Does it ever get old?" I'm like, heck no. This is the
Yep.
greatest thing in the world. And like, dude, a giant one in a tournament, especially like that, man. I mean, that's the biggest
I thought it was awesome.
tournament of my life.
I
dude.
thought it was awesome.
And
man.
I mean, just to have it happen like that and just share it with a good dude.
Yep.
That has nothing to do with me puking. I was pumped, but like, you know, it was just
his
awesome.
his
I will
reaction was pretty funny.
I will never forget. I promise you, had I not edited up the whole scenario, it was 3 minutes before I ever even touched the fish.
Really?
Laying on the back deck, just hurling.
Oh man.
And then I finally got done and went down there and grabbed him.
That's,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that was just it was my wife stopped. We all were not again, not poking fun. It was just one of those the pure to see somebody's pure enjoyment and excitement of fishing. You know, we all think, you know, it's a business and all this, but still, you know, these guys, they sacrifice so much to get there, and then you get there and to have something like that happen, I just thought it was awesome. So
Yeah,
I mean,
dude,
I thought it was great. I was going to give you a little hard time about it, but you know,
I take it as a compliment.
well, I
at
knew
this
you put it in
point.
the video, so I was like, he don't mind talking.
So,
about it.
like, what time of day was that 8-pounder?
It was like 140. I had to be back at 2:30.
Okay, so
Crunch
you're towards
time.
the
Yeah,
crunch
I called a 160 with a 8-4 or the 820.
That's awesome.
And then right after that, you know, I stand up and I'm like, man, we might have just made the final day. Had a pretty good idea that we might have. But, you know, I'm thinking, man, I got another one that's less than 2 pounds. Like, you catch another one that you could win this thing with one more good day. And
So what did that put you at weight wise?
18 something.
Okay.
And then I went and caught a 3-pounder, a 3 even right after that on right by the ramp, and called that other one, another pound upgrade that got me to 19 and a half, whatever I had that day. And it was just, I have a hard time. I've had a hard time in the past. You'll catch a big one and you'll be like, and then you breathe too much.
Yeah.
You celebrate, get fired up, but at the same time, if you got time, man,
keep punching at them.
Keep going.
absolutely. Because I mean, you know, them guys are animals and they're going to stomp on them. And I mean, it's just so hard to edge out those guys. They're so good. And I've got so lucky this year. But man, it's just that was something that I really was glad that I kept foot on the gas that day, because an extra pound at the end of a tough tournament makes a big difference.
Makes a huge difference, especially in that kind of scenario.
Absolutely.
And then day 3, you follow it right back
Who
up.
all fished day 3, top 10?
Yeah, top 10 fish day 3. Yeah, it was definitely a star-studded deal. Jake Lawrence, Dylan Filardo, Tanner Haddon, Buddy Benson. Like, I mean, the list goes on. Couple Tennessee River Hammers. Mateo Toronto is a guy that he won the tournament. And cool story behind him, come from Chicago, moved to Kentucky Lake. A buddy of mine from college, Shimon, knew him really well. They grew up in the same area. Dude's on another planet.
Right.
He's insane. In the Toyota Series this year, the Central Division I fished, dude, he cleaned house in almost every tournament. He's insane. Man, I don't know. It's a list of studs.
So
dude.
just to back up just a little bit, to put this in perspective a little bit, because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking about this because you were explaining the regions and divisions and things like that. Because there's multiple divisions in the state of Georgia. I mean, like, there's a couple of divisions here, right?
Just the
BFL, what I'm saying.
the
BFL.
Bulldog.
Just
yeah.
Bulldog.
Yeah, just the Bulldog for Georgia, but you have a couple different divisions that dip into Georgia because of bordering.
I got you.
Like
Okay.
Eufaula,
Okay.
Hartwell, things like that.
So how many anglers nationwide are we talking about that could have made it to this tournament?
I mean, thousands in the BFLs.
Thousands.
Yeah.
And
They
how
take
many?
49.
And 49
Yeah.
fished it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
That's
pretty
they
awesome.
they thin them out pretty heavy. It's definitely one of those things. It's an honor just to be there.
I mean, so
Really.
we think about, we know our local hammers. We talk about local hammers, things like that. We got guys that are probably good enough to be on elites and MLF and whatever you want to say.
Absolutely.
But all these guys get together in the BFL and then beat each other's brains in all year long to be the top 40. So it's not, I don't want to downplay the pros, but I'm saying they got the same number of guys they fish against all these events, where you're fishing against thousands of different personalities, different people, whatever, to make it to a top 49 and then finish what place? Third.
Yeah, man. It was had to keep climbing up for sure.
Well, you had a really good day 3 too.
Yeah,
talk
almost
about
19 day 3. Yeah, I caught one 7 1/4 pounder.
Yep.
And another 4, and that definitely kept climbing. I had a live camera in the boat, so
I saw that.
That was really fun. Had
was
some
fun
good
to watch.
Had some good times. Tried to cut up and have fun and catch bass along the ways. Cool camera guy, man.
So how'd you catch the 7 1/4 on day 3?
All on a drop shot, man. Once I caught that big one and that 3 pounder right after it on day 3, I had it in my mind. That's what I needed to do to get the big bites, and rolled with it. Day 3, I went out and just tried to minnow up a limit real quick. I had one channel swing bank that was loaded with little schools of fish,
Right.
and would go down that bank chasing bait chasers. And my first limit weighed like 609 or something on my Bubba scale.
Wow.
But that 6 pounds and having 5 fish in the boat, chill out, go up there, cull them out, hunt you 5 big ones all day. Now you got a limit in the box, because I mean you can't. I personally don't fish good if I don't have 5.
So I was just fixing to ask, are you the kind of fisherman that wants to get those 5, or you just care if you get 5 bites?
I mean, if I don't do really good just getting 5 bites. It's something that takes a lot of discipline and stuff. But now with forward facing sonar and stuff these days, if you're only getting 5 bites in a day, you're probably cooked.
Yeah.
But
that's a fair statement.
Yeah.
That's a very fair statement.
Yeah.
I can agree with that 100%. I can agree with that 100%. Yeah. So, yeah, you hit right. The drop shot thing was what impressed me. When I saw you pick up the drop shot and pull that 8 in, or 8, 8.2, 8.4, whatever it was in, I was like, he's doing a drop shot. You know how many people laugh at the drop shot?
Yeah,
I mean, I get it all the time.
That's one of the deadliest largemouth baits there is.
Yeah.
A drop shot with a little pink worm. Any Tennessee River lake, they eat that thing up.
Really?
But yeah, it's just something, little subtle things like that forward facing and just paying attention to that can teach you. Them fish didn't want to bury their nose in the dirt for my Nico rig. I hadn't fed a fish pick up off the bottom all week, but they were really interested in it. And it's just something that was a little different. I'm like, man, maybe I can fish this thing kind of fast, put a little 1/8 ounce weight on there so I could reel it in and pitch it to fish decently quick, but it's still subtle enough to where it's not stirring up a bunch of mud and things like that, and just put it in front of as many as you can. And it just seemed to be what they wanted.
Now, were you around like brush piles, or were you around
anything that a big post spawn fish is going to move off the bank and want to hang out on while a lot of them were garden fry. You would see a little ball of fry on your live scope, and you'd see a big blob just cruising around down there around it. And a lot of them were garden fry that I was catching. So you just wouldn't really know. It was fry garters that you couldn't really see.
Yeah.
And you would just, some of them were cruising around, but a lot of them were posted up on them big points and little grass patch, little brush pile, and they were guarding little tiny balls of fry.
Now, how deep are we talking?
From 4 to 12 foot is
Okay.
where I caught my big ones, that mid-depth range. Caught some deeper, but most of my big ones were from that 4 to 12 foot range.
And you're casting the drop shot? You're not just dropping vertical, you're casting out to it and
I'd have
dragging
some that I chased up and I'd pop it down and let them go down under the boat. But most of those were little ones. The big ones, I'd have to stay back, flick it over there, and really finesse them from 60 to 80 foot away.
I got you. So, like I said, I was impressed with the drop shot because I actually took my wife out last year, used the drop shot. She got to see her first forward facing sonar fish bite up. She was like, that's crazy that you can see that happen, you know. So for me, and I had just learned the drop shot. I didn't really ever fish it before. So I think it's cool to see you catch not one, but two. Because I actually, when you caught the 7, I went, there's no freaking way he caught a 7. I mean, I was just like an 8 and followed up with a 7 something next day. I mean, you just knew that was going to be a tournament making, you know.
It was a fun time, man. I promise I'll definitely be chucking that thing a lot more in the future. I ain't no doubt. That drop shot's a deadly thing. And I mean, it's just one more thing to get you a little confidence on, and it's mainstream, you know, like it's mainstream as it gets, but it's something, you know, keep in your back pocket, flick it around. If time gets tough, you can still catch giants on a drop shot.
It almost makes you wonder, everybody's focused so much on the minnow, you know, that they forget about the drop. So they don't see the drop shot as much as, you know, you used to. There's some still do, but
absolutely. And, you know, and you can tell pretty quick, there's certain fish that are going to want to eat a minnow style bait and certain ones that, you know, they'll chase it. And I think I said it in the video, they're not dancing on my minnow
That's
quite
right.
like I want them to, but like they would come up to it and look at it, and I just don't have the mental willpower to sit and watch that 100 times a day before one bites. And I
Right.
just cannot do it.
Yeah.
And that it just, I guess it's just the way we're wired on these herring lakes. You're used to seeing them and getting visuals on these fish all the time. And like going back to the 5 bites a day thing, man, I got to be getting tugged on if my head's in the right place, you know.
I'm like you. I know I'm not a professional tournament fisherman by any means, but fishing the tournaments I've fished in, I want to go get 5 in the boat, and then we can start working on culling up from there. Because if I'm going out there and spending 2 and 3 hours not catching, I'm going, all right, this is not what I came out here to
and
do.
certain times, you know, you're going to get put in those places where you know you're going to get 5 bites in the day doing what you're doing. It's just going to be piecing it together. But you know, in a tournament like that scenario where it's tough to get bites as a whole, you don't want to just the term swing for the fence that used to be used all the time. You can throw that out the window, man.
Right.
We got too much technology to be worrying about that these days.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
out there, play it conservative, and try to catch some good ones along the way.
Absolutely. That's I mean, I 100% agree with that statement. I mean, because like you said, you talk about swinging for the fences. Heck, you know, you can not even counting forward facing. The technology that we have is so much clearer now that you can go out there and scan up fish and turn your boat around and go for the same fish you just scanned up. See if we got anybody. We got anybody in the comment? Kevin Thornton. I usually puke when the fish comes unbuttoned, not when I put him in the boat. Hey, I'm telling
We've all
you.
been there too.
Yeah. That one definitely makes us mad for sure.
Nate caught him a big one on bear.
Thank you, Dave.
Nate Fisher caught a 720 on Big Bear on Bear Lake on a drop
Bear
shot.
Lake.
There you go.
I think that's North Carolina hole.
That's 10 minutes from Western Carolina, baby.
Yeah.
Kaz, you talking while you're fishing makes us feel like we're both in the boat with you. You had a captured audience.
That's the goal.
And I was going to say that, Kevin, you brought up, that was the perfect point, because I have consumed a bunch of videos over the last couple of days just to make sure I'd watched everything, you know. And I was going to tell you, I have never, ever watched an angler for over an hour in a YouTube video that wasn't instructing. I can't watch tournament videos. They bore the crap out of me. You do an excellent job of putting it on YouTube. If you're not watching him on YouTube, I'm telling you, I don't watch anybody that long unless they're teaching me a technique or something that's just really involved. I mean, but to watch you, I didn't feel like I was watching a tournament. I felt like I was watching. You do a great job vlogging, I guess. The word vlogging is, I guess, the best word I can come up with, and you do a really good job at it. So and that's the sincere.
I appreciate that.
I've watched like 5 of them today during the day. I'm going, I just watched 5. So I have an hour and a half drive up here, and I watched them. They're playing while I'm driving. I'm hearing them, you know, and I went through the hour and I think I just watched like 3 or 2, however many it was, but he's not wrong. What Kevin says is absolutely 100% true. You do.
So what made you start recording some fishing trips? Took you a while to get there.
It did take me a while. Clint always used to encourage me to do that. And, you know, I've been, I just got out of college and back in 2023, I'm 22 years old. And you know, there's a lot of backstory and whatever. Last year I was, this close to being a middle school business teacher with my business degree in college.
Right.
And kind of developed kind of a negative outlook on professional bass fishing in college. You know, you're traveling around, you know, grinding, and I didn't really like the whole aspect of the social media side of things, and still don't really like the fact of it that you can't just let fishing do the talking. But man, you know, it's just I changed my tune. I sat down, had to talk with family, and prayed a lot about it and thought about it. And I'm like, man, this is where God wants me to be. And not just because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would way rather fish than teach. But, man, at the end of the day, you know, long story short, a lot of things happened last year towards the end of the year in that trying time of my life where I'm trying to decide where to go, how I want my life to go. Am I going to balance this, that? And I'm like, man, I need to try it. Lay everything I got. It'll break me down, but I'm going to give it a try. And dude, tried it. And I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I need to approach it from every angle possible, because you got to, you know, worry about getting sponsors, this and that. And, you know, I started it, filmed. My first tournament that I filmed of the year was Pickwick Lake. I filmed a couple short videos to get started and started getting some, you know, not really much of it. I didn't even have 1,000 subscribers at all, and was just filming stuff around the house. And I'm like, man, this is not that hard. Like, this is fine. I literally have a GoPro and my iPhone. And now, still to this day, I'm 25 videos in a row. I got 2 GoPros in my iPhone. That's all I'm rocking with.
Right.
And my first tournament video at Pickwick had a great tournament and got a bunch of views. And man, the next tournament you start hearing people, man, I love your video.
I'm telling you,
that was awesome. And like the encouragement and like, dude, I've had people come up and tell me and like met people, and it's been a few months since I've started it. And man, it's catapulted my life into something that, and it's making my dreams come true. Not to sound cliche.
No, man.
Like, man, I've been so blessed this year. And man, I'm going to do it as long as I'm able. And gosh, dude, I don't really know where to even begin. It's something that, after doing it now for a few months, you see different ways of looking at it, right? So I used to think, oh, it's just such a hassle. I don't want to have to do this. Man, if you're fishing, you see so many cool things that some people would kill to see. And you can get it on a camera and you can relive that moment and share it with your friends, and you just ain't telling a fishing story when you get back to the dock.
Right.
Dude, that's what it's worth to me. I can get back and share these priceless moments. Because like, what if I would have told you that I puked at the second day of the All American?
Okay.
You're just whatever. But like, man,
but you and your wife are watching it.
We will
watch and laugh about that for years now, and man, that's just, it's been the best year, man. I've had so much fun, and I don't know. We're going to see what happens.
I'm telling you, man, the longer form content that you're doing, I mean, everybody, when you get into content creation, we're not going to go down this rabbit hole too bad, but when you get into it, you're always trying to find yourself, what you look like. And I'm still working on it, even though I've got, another channel or whatever. Anyway, and I was going, it's just genuine.
Long form's not easy to do either.
It's not easy, but you make it look really easy and entertaining to the point. Like I said, I'm not trying to blow smoke. I'm just telling you like it is, because I will not watch. If it's over 15 minutes, I'm usually going, let me watch a couple of minutes and I'll scroll. Especially a tournament video, because it's typically a boring, just not. But man, you're holding an iPhone or whatever you're doing with a GoPro, whatever, and it's really good.
You just you do a good job of bringing the audience with you.
Absolutely.
And like having that experience. I think some of that comes from guiding. I feel like you're when you're guiding, like I've been in the boat with you plenty of times, like you want it to be an experience. You're not closed off, locked in, and just focusing on the fish. You're focusing on whoever's in the boat with you. And I think that's kind of what you brought in through your content, is you're just bringing everybody along with you. And it's pretty cool to see. Like, I've been telling you to do it for years, and now that you're finally doing it and seeing like, okay, I am bringing these people along. This is making an impact. Like, I wish you did it 5 years ago, but dude, I'm so glad you started because it's making an impact on the community. And like, I know you have that power, and it's only going to grow from here, because like after I met you 10 years ago, I'm like, more people need to know this guy.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to see.
Same to you, Clint.
I've seen, I saw you on the show before, and then you and I met in Villa briefly, and I was like, it's a really cool dude. I mean, and I introduced myself, and you're like, I know who you are. I'm like, holy crap. I don't know. I mean, just from doing the show. And it just, I'm telling you, I don't know. I won't say don't change how you're doing it, because obviously you got to do what's best for you. But the way you're doing it now, if you can keep people entertained for an hour, I love the whole hour and a half, whatever. I don't know how long the longest one was, but you had me locked in on this one, the Pickwick video. I mean, I've watched Seminole. I've watched a ton of them just to, make sure I got them all in. I wanted to, consume as much as I could. And I was really surprised. One of the videos you're talking about it, and it may have been I don't remember if it's Seminole. I don't remember which one it was, but you're saying, I've only been doing this for a couple of months. And I'm going, and I remember you on the show a while back saying, hey, you just started a channel. Y'all go follow him. And I think I followed it. I don't think I follow. I think I watched videos anyway. And you're like, I only got like 1,400 followers. And I looked, I'm like, he's already up to almost 5K followers. And he's only been doing this a couple of months.
I don't think you realize how huge that is in the amount of time.
Especially in the fishing industry.
That is huge.
Huge.
Thanks, fam.
So guys, I'm telling you, if you're not checking his stuff out, he don't hide anything. It's not anything, boisterous or anything. It's just really good footage. I mean, I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was like watching a television show, or I don't know, it's just really good stuff. So y'all make sure you go follow Caz on that stuff. I promise you, Pickwick Lake's a tough lake.
It is.
Caz has the most humble personalities. on video and in person makes both Georgia and Western North Carolina proud. Don't ever change, bud. And I
Right.
agree with that 110%. And we had a couple of questions up here. Okay, Justin Sisyphus, what's the best way to work a fluke? We'll start with that. I know that's kind of just out there, but we'll start with that.
Yeah, it's out there, but I like it, man. So there's a couple different ways to do this. You know, you can throw it out there and twitch it back. My favorite way is to throw it out there and burn it fast. These herring like to steam across the water. They'll the fish get really pumped up whenever you burn that thing and sweep it. If you ever watch, you know, a couple of years ago, Forest Wood Cup, Lake Murray, 10 years ago, Anthony Gagliardi was pulling that fluke real hard.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you ever watch a herring getting chased by something, he's in a hurry.
He's getting it.
He's getting out of there, right? So pull that thing, stop it, pull it, stop it, and you'll watch that fluke quiver, almost like a magic swimmer swim bait, but a lot tighter. They eat it up. That's my favorite way to work a fluke.
So if you're fishing somewhere, let's say because I fish a lake that mimics Lanier and Chatuge, but it doesn't have herring in it. It's got your thread fins, your gizzards, stuff like that. How am I working it there? Same situation?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's, you know, the herring is a cool deal, but a fluke, you know, there's so many other baits these days that you can actually talk fish into biting with forward-facing sonar. A fluke is one of those things. Bed fishing, you know, you can pitch it in the bed and just let it lay there. And a bait fish, when it's getting chased, is doing the same thing as a herring is. He's pulling away. And that's kind of, you know, that's why I kind of work it the same everywhere, it seems like. If fish are in the mood to chase a bait fish, they'll love that burn, stop.
I know on Wodowie, if in the fall, if they're on bait balls, I scan up a bait ball with, you know, side scan or down scan, whatever I'm doing. I find it and I get on forward face and find it. I'll take a little fluke and weight it just with a little bit of weight, and I'll drop it through the center because a lot of times it's got that bullseye. You got the bait ball with, you know, just a dot in the center, and you just drop it straight through and then work it, whatever. I mean, same situation you're talking about. It depends on, and you, like you said, now with forward facing, you can tell the attitude of the fish that are chasing the bait or the bait itself, and you can kind of work it and play with it that way and see what they're going to do for sure. We had a question up a little bit higher. DA, I wanted to know, had a very important question. Caz, you got a girlfriend.
I'm single as they come.
Now, is that because fishing makes it tough to commit to something like that? I mean, honestly,
I wish I knew.
You know,
I ain't got an answer. I don't know. We'll figure that out one of these.
But
days.
You're in the market then.
I guess. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
He's not shopping, but if one happened up on the door, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Listen.
It seems like the ones on the clearance rack jump out at me. So
That's got to be a clip. That's a good audio clip right there. That's a great audio clip. I like it. The ones on the clearance rack. Oh, goodness. You got me cracked up now. What? Oh, they're great. I'm glad Kevin brought it up because that was going to be another talking point. What's the blood stop spray, chill pills, and oxygen pills you're doing?
It's this new thing, new sponsor, Buzzer Rocks is the company. It's called. The cheapest, most effective that I've found way to keep your fish alive. So you can find them. They're kind of hard to find. I've been out of stock at Tackle Warehouse for a bit, but they work. So an oxygen, they come to these things. There's a bunch of different ways to buy them, but you have orange pills and white pills.
Right.
And it's just little tablets like this big. They're about $6.99 a pack.
Okay.
$7 a pack. And so this is not the blood stop. This is just the live well treatment. You throw one of the white oxygen tablets in your live well every 4 hours. So I just toss it in there usually after I catch my limit, I'll toss it in there every 4 hours, put one in. So 1 or 2 in a tournament day. And then the orange, which is the energy party, it keeps the fish kind of relaxed and you know, keeps them good and healthy. Toss one of those per day. So like one of the little tournament packages comes with 4 oxygen tablets and 4 orange pills.
Okay.
And that lasts you 2 or 3 tournament days for $7. And there's all kinds of alternatives out there for way more money. Right. And I'm telling you, I mean, I've used them since the first tournament I used them in was Seminole, I think I want to say. I used them at Seminole, maybe Gunnersville.
Yeah.
Hot, you know, super hot. Water's getting warm. Deep, you know, largemouth ledge fish, things like that. Those fish are tough to keep alive.
Right.
A lot of dead fish those tournaments. I've never had a fish lose their color. Spotted bass at home in the night tournaments, that's notorious. There's a reason they're 3 fish limits because they're tough to keep them alive.
Oh, yeah.
I, you know, slap a little ice in there at the beginning and use those. It's the deal. And it's cheap as can be. you turned me on to them there a while back, and I messaged the guy and was like, hey man, like I love this stuff, and we started working together. Super cool guy named Chin he lives in Beijing, China.
Right.
Communicate with him back and forth, and he's like, it's so funny you messaged me. I'm literally watching one of your YouTube videos right now.
See?
And so we just connected like instantly. And the Bloodstop formula, it's really cool. Thankfully I haven't had to use it as much, but I've used it a couple times. At Gunnersville, I had a fish, caught it on a crankbait in the tournament. It's a smaller one too, like less than 2 pounds. Need to cull him.
Yep.
So gushing, like meshed it in his gills, and he's just bleeding out, like losing his color as I'm unhooking him. Unhook him, spray that stuff all over him, dunk him in the water, comes up, he's not bleeding anymore. Throw him in the live well, swimming around, cull him. 3 hours later, and dude, I couldn't hardly even get him out of the live well. Wow. And I'm talking about, I almost tore there was a pieces of this fish's gills on my crankbait.
Dang.
And then I had another one on right in the tongue, a 5-pounder on a frog in the tournament. Another one hooked right in the tongue, bleeding like a stuck pig. Sprayed that on him, dunked him in there, and he was fine.
Yeah.
Never lost their color.
Wow.
And usually a tongue hook bass, Mountain Dew, stuff like that. Other than that, there's not much you can do. But this stuff, it heals the wound like instantly. Puts a coating over it so it stops bleeding and gives them all kinds of vitamins. I'm no scientist. I ain't gonna act like I am, but it's a cheap solution to keeping your fish alive that's available to everybody. It doesn't add a bunch of weight in your boat.
And it works.
It just works.
I'm gonna have to get some because I caught a fish the other day. It was a little over 6, and I had to go through the gills because didn't get it down the gullet, but got it right in that meat before you get there. I couldn't get that hook turned forever, so I threw it in the live well, put some G juice in there to keep it, get it back normal. And thankfully, when I did, I guess that the hook turned them just enough. I was able to get it without having to go through the gills. But the whole time I'm going, if I nick these gills, this fish is dead, and it's a big fish. I'm like, I'd have felt terrible. I'm getting that age where I feel terrible for hurting a fish. I hate it, especially for something like that. And I actually watched a video yesterday of guys talking about they did a study, I guess, of what you can do for gut hook fish and things like that. And we'll get in that later, I guess. But basically they said cutting the line loose and letting the fish go is probably the best thing you can do, just so y'all know. That's the summary of it anyway. But we're back. Sorry, folks. We don't know what keeps happening. I don't know if it's me moving my hands or something. Something I said last week jumped us out of the screen.
Mark McQuay, I see him on there. Mark's the tournament director for the Toyota series.
Okay.
So I've just got to know him this year, and I admire that guy a lot. We keep in touch and everything, and he's a cool dude.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for stopping by and comment. We appreciate that. And hey, guys, if you wouldn't mind, hit that like and subscribe button for the FNGO. I know Danny would appreciate it, and it helps him out a lot. Coleman Jones, what braid does Caz use for spinning?
Man, I've tried a bunch of them. I've tried a ton, and to be honest, I don't have an answer on which one's the best. To be honest with you, I mix it up between some Japanese braid. I used the Berkeley X9 as one. Berkeley X9 is probably my all-time favorite. I am affiliated with Pure Fishing, but if I had to pick one to go to the grave, it's good for minnows, it's good for worms, it's good for topwaters, it's good for everything. And I've never had it break. I've used the cast braid some. That stuff is extremely good. It casts extremely far. There's different properties that make each one of them good. I've yet to find the ultimate braid, though.
Yeah.
I can honestly say, I've yet to find the ultimate braid. But, it
may not exist.
It may not exist. Somebody's on it, We're testing some stuff for Pure Fishing right now that's pretty dang good.
Really?
So, but, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. And I get that question a lot, man. And it's super important, because everybody's using spinning rods these days. And there's a few options, that you really can't go wrong with.
Right.
Not many people make just junk, but.
And we talked about it before the show a little bit, different braid stuff. I've used Seagar and cast and everything from the cheap stuff you get off the shelf. Clint, I'm sure you probably have used everything under the sun as well. And plus, working with cast on that stuff too. So,
there's negatives and positives to all of it. You can sit there and nickel and dime it all day. And from price point to castability to strength to the feel of it, sinking, not sinking, there's a million different variables, and you just have to find. It's honestly getting to the point now where you have to have like certain braids are better for certain techniques.
Yeah.
The sinking braids are better for Damiki rig style baits because they're a little spongier.
Yeah.
You want something that floats for a worm so you can feel that defined tick a little bit better.
Right.
Just for like, if you guys are shopping for braid, to keep in mind, I didn't want to confuse people by saying braids for different techniques, because I never knew that until a couple weeks or months ago when I was really starting to play with it a lot. But there definitely is drastic difference in some of them.
Oh, yeah, and it changes all the time. But when I first started fishing, or not first started fishing, before I went to the military, spider wire was your main, it's the kind of stuff you could find. And then when I get back into fishing, like spider wire, no, we don't use that. And I noticed a lot more of the braids cutting themselves apart compared to what they used to. And
and the biggest thing is there ain't nothing to it but to do it. Like go try it, go see what you like. I mean, I use a lot of cast braid. I've got that on everything, but like there's probably other techniques that I can work in a different type. I mean, it's all about what you like. And like you don't know it till you try it. Like go out and try a bunch, because there's a lot of bad braid out there too. There's a lot of braid that's going to give you wind knots all the time and like make your tournament day frustrating. So go figure it out. Go find out. There is no 100% right answer for what you're doing. It's got to fit the style of how you're fishing and all that stuff. But try a couple, give them a shot, and let us know which one you like the best.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Listen, I mean, I bought cast. I've used the cigar braid. You just got to go out there and find what you enjoy using. I mean, you're going like Cass, you're gonna have different things. And then Tyler asked, "What do you think about the Suffix X 832 braid?"
Something I've never used.
I've used it quite a bit.
Yeah,
tell us about it.
I like it. I'm between that and cast.
Yeah.
So all my spinning reels are spooled with either cast braid or the Suffix braid.
Right.
Yeah. I know a lot of people love the 832. It's something I've never tried though.
And listen, I know Caz has got sponsors, so he's got certain things, he can go one way or the other with stuff. I'm not sponsored, so I'm going to go out there and get a box of everything, and I'm going to go, yep, I like this. I'm not going to, and I'll be honest with you, there's some stuff I'll buy one time, I love it, and the next time I go get them, I'm like, well, I don't know if that's a bad run.
I used to be all about the Power Pro, man.
Yeah.
I wanted Power Pro on everything, but I got so many wind knots with that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't get near as many with the Suffix.
Yeah, I like the cigar. I mean, it's the Smackdown. It's great, but it doesn't cast as far as the cast does. But we talked about some of the properties versus the two that I agree with 100%. I noticed a little bit of the differences, cast versus Smackdown or whatever, and you're gonna have that stuff. So, I mean, and what I'm getting at is nobody's gonna walk in your garage to your boat and go, "Why you got two different braids in there?" Nobody cares.
I feel like it's a lot of user preference too.
Yeah,
whatever feels best to you.
The fish aren't going to care. It's going to be what makes you happy. So I know it's an expense, like especially when buying that cast the first time, I was like, "Whoo, that hurt a little bit," but I made sure it went on 3 reels. So Jason Glaze, New Home Ministries. I watch every pro out there. Caz's channel is the best. He knows how to be himself on camera. So genuine. And I think we definitely, I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable, but kind of, drive that point home a little further.
I appreciate
it. Dude,
I'm telling you. Thank you guys so much for everybody that follows me on YouTube that tuned in tonight. I really appreciate y'all. There's not many times I get to be on a camera and really thank somebody.
Right.
But dude, man, that means a lot to me. It's a big deal.
Well,
so thank you guys for watching tonight and support these guys as much as you can.
Like I said, I'm a little bit jealous because when I heard you say you only been doing it a few months, I remember that you'd only been doing it for a few months. I'm going, it's a freaking just natural at it. And you're doing it in a tournament. I don't know about you guys, but when I get in a tournament, my mind shuts. Like when I fun fish, my mind shuts off. I'm very zoned in on stuff and I forget to talk to the camera and say anything. In a tournament, my wife says, you're an a-hole.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I'm a completely different, I'm tunnel vision. I'm doing one thing. So man, to do that and turn your driving the boat going, yeah, we're idling out of here. I'm going, that's free. I mean, so it's pretty cool. Anyway,
have you noticed? Does it help you at all having to stop and talk to the camera or stop and click the GoPro at all? Do you think that's helped at all in some of these tournaments to kind of slow down?
It keeps me from zoning out. Yeah, it keeps me from zoning out because I'm really thinking the whole time. Like,
that's a good point.
How can I make this, an enjoyable experience? Because I'll think you see at a 3-day tournament video. You divide that up, an hour-long video. 3 days, you're seeing 30 minutes on average of each day, of each 8-hour day. Right. And there's a lot of time in that time where I'm sitting there just like, oh, I don't want this day to be over with, and I have to, adding those little tidbits of making it personal, not just straight, adding the vlog and stuff. I've
vlog
found
was
that,
great.
that helps me a lot, to give somebody where they see your face, a personal image of you, like sitting there and like wanting to talk to them and keep them updated. That's helped me a lot. That's my main, and it keeps my head in the game because I have to do good.
Yeah.
Or nobody wants to watch me.
Well,
So like,
I think the way Clint put that's a perfect way to say it. I mean, it's for, and I guess another way to ask it, does it help you mentally? Like it is, it's like you want to benefit from it as much as you want the viewers to, they say make videos for the people that are watching. I get that. But if it helps you and calm down and zone, get in the right zone, I think that's almost as important. I mean, almost you're just getting the byproducts, the video you get to put out for everybody. So that's really good too. Who do we have under? We had somebody else under there. I saw a question under. Thought there was one. Oh, I was going to say thanks to Mark there for subscribing. I was going to say that too.
That's awesome.
And then you got the All Mike sinking braid. Finally got Mike Geiger. Finally got on here. Love the 832. 90% of anglers in East Tennessee were spinning rods dominate J Braid X8.
I've had more wind knots with J Braid than any other braid I've ever used. And I don't know if I'm just doing it wrong, but I had so many problems with that when it first came out. I don't know. Maybe it's gotten better.
I hadn't tried it. And then you got the Cast King hammer braid. There's a bunch of different ones. Bad movie. Appreciate the subscription, buddy. Thanks, man.
Far dog.
Far dog. Hello from Southeast Oklahoma. And Caz, you just
kiss my A double money.
Far dog. Hey, bud.
Oh, no.
Peace to you.
You know Far Dog?
I have no clue.
Yeah, he's a regular. He's a regular on here. Caz, give old Far Dog a big old shout out. I got your number tattooed on my knuckles like you suggested. I don't know what that means.
Y'all know who that is?
He's from out.
Yeah, he tunes in all the time. He's from Oklahoma.
I don't know what the hell that's about though.
Hey,
I don't know. I don't know.
I like it.
You got
That's
your
pretty
numbers
cool.
tattooed? Uh-oh. Okay.
That's a good question.
All right, Nate Fisher, Caz, what is your go-to Demiki rod and reel?
That is a good question. I've played with a bunch. I've been using the Fenwick rods this year. 7 foot medium light. Fenwick has something called a family flex, which is something pretty cool. You can get all the actions in all the different series. So it's kind of whatever price point and durability stance that you want to take on it. I use the World Class and the HMGs a lot. 7 foot medium light, or if you want to do something different, the walleye rod, 7.2 medium light walleye rod. I use that. Basically the 7 foot medium light for 5-inch and less minnows, and then the 7.2 medium light for 5+. And sometimes you can go to a little bit stiffer, like a medium action. 7.1 medium action's a good one too. I'll mix that up. If you wanted to get one that does it all, that 7.2 medium light walleye rod from Fenwick is killer. And I use a 3,000 size spinning reel. I was using 2,500s, but I went to a 3,000. Holds more line, casts further, and you can just give them the beans, and the drag locks up. It just feels way better. So 3,000 size spinning reel.
Okay. I remember I made that change a couple of years ago after fishing with some guys up north, and I was like, why are y'all throwing such a big reel? Like, I'd always been a 2,500 size guy.
Exactly.
And I stepped it up. You can cast farther. The drag's better.
Yeah, and it's relatively the same size. You know? Yeah, but I mean, a 2,500 is the go-to bass size, but I would say now, I'll always order 3,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's good for me because, I was out buying spinning reels the other day, nothing expensive, but I'm going 2,500, 3,000. 3,000 is too big. And I've never thought about it. So I guess it makes sense.
If you try it, I think you will.
And a lot of rods balance better with a little bit better of a reel.
Little weight in the back end, yeah.
Well, that's good to know then, because that was not something I would have thought of. Tony Watkins, you ain't fangirl someone else's wife, have you, bud? LOL. So I'm hoping that's not what it is, but because
I have noticed a 4,000 on a fluke. I started throwing that this year, and I like it a lot.
Big spinning reel fluke, huh?
Wow. Yeah, that's a hoss.
Yeah, my fluke and a shaky head, because when it gets cold and you're making those bomber casts with a shaky head, and you can bomb it like 130 foot at the point.
Wow.
It's kind of I like it on that.
That's definitely a good haul there. I guess it makes sense. I just never thought of 3,000. Wouldn't have thought about that. So, and Thad Moody, I'm a 3,000 fan here in Mississippi, right? Minus my 6.6 wacky setup, it's a 2,500.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
for sure.
And Tony said he's always liked the bigger spinning rod. or spinning reel rather.
Yeah. My dad used to have these Shimano Saharas whenever I was real little. I think they were like $40 at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
But they were like $70. But
Yeah, you can get them at Academy. I got a couple.
They're 4,000 size from back in the day. We still got them. We'd spool that thing up with mono, and we really fished predominantly with spinning rods. But we used to throw the saltwater super spook, 3 hooks. Only top water we threw back on Chatuge when like schooling fish was the way to go. You could take that thing and throw it from here to California, just send it. You'd hook one at the end of cast, that big stretchy mono and a spinning rod. It was so cool. But those 4,000 size spinning reels, you could have caught a tarpon on what we were throwing for bass. It was awesome. And
then Tyler Outdoors, high vis braid on spinning reel or green? High vis or green?
I like high vis. I don't like the natural green. Like a lot of my braid is white, pink, or the cast braid, which is like a bluish color. I like something that I can see pretty good.
I like the high vis yellow myself, but I went with the cast, which kind of had to adjust a little bit. Seeing the cast is a totally different. It's got that little bit of yellow, kind of bluish, yellow.
You can spool it to where you get just the yellow because it's every 30 feet. It'll go yellow to blue, so you can just kind of time it with your backing. But sometimes, it is kind of tough to.
I'm just
going, but yeah,
it is. It's just something to get used to.
Most of the time too, and like seeing your line. I've never, as long as I can get like somewhat, because like I've never really thought that made like all the difference. Because like if you're seeing your line bump, like you don't have to be quick. A fish ain't gonna spit your bait out that fast. He's gonna swallow that sucker if he gets the chance to. So, and unless it's with a minnow, which you're not watching your line with that anyway. So I've never really understood the whole visual point, but I do like it just because, if I break one off, I can see my line really good, and it looks cool. It's pretty much like a braid is something truly where it's like it catches people's eyes. If it's a cool color, it catches people's eyes because it doesn't matter. You got a leader on there anyways. I'll just rock whatever the wildest, most awesome color I can find. That's what I'm buying.
And that awesome. I went with it because I was learning forward fate. Well, I was learning the minnow stuff last year, and for me, that yellow helped me with my casting, lining up my shots, and all that stuff. Just being able to see it when I threw it, especially out there with down in that wind and stuff. So I had the green on there, and I was like, I don't really care for the green as much. So
you're talking about seeing that bite. You remember when we were fishing with Ian on Chatuge, and he was like, don't you love when your line's just bowed up and you just see a bite? And as soon as that comes out of his mouth, his line's bowed up in the wind or whatever. And he's like, don't you love when you just see that line bowed up and then all of a sudden it goes and he catches like a 2.5 pounder. He's so fired up that he caught it.
That's
awesome. Hilarious. It was awesome. We caught some mag perch that day too.
Dude, they went good in the grease.
Yeah.
And then Fardall, what transferred over from, we'll say, Lanier to Hamilton from finding the right size keepers?
Man, not much. It was kind of its own deal, and it's tough to find like the right size. Like you had to find like random big ones here and there. But there was groups of fish offshore that were roaming and chasing bait that you caught enough of them to know that they aren't big ones. You're not going to catch one over 3 pounds doing this. Max. Anything over 2 was a really good one doing that. And then, when you started catching those bigger ones towards the bottom on slower baits or chasing your minnow, you could tell they were bigger fish, and you just kind of had to hone in on what those bigger ones seemed to be doing. It varies from lake to lake to lake.
Yeah. I like to pick brains of people that fish tournaments like you're doing, because we don't want to just forget about Pickwick, because that was a dang slugfest, man. That was another impressive video. Was it that time? Alex is giving me the half show warning, guys. We'll hold that question
by tonight.
No, dude, I didn't even realize what time it was. You said that. It's already 5 after. So we got to do the question of the night tonight, guys.
You could make it through a whole Caz Anderson video at this point.
Hey, exactly.
Maybe.
You're watching one right now.
Yeah, exactly. So tonight we're going to give away, in honor of Caz being here, we're going to do the Berkeley Cane Walker. So it's a great top water. I know it works on Chatuge. I've seen videos on it. It's one of my favorites for Wadowee.
Anywhere.
Yeah, Wadowee. I watched a Chatuge video and then took it to Wadowee the next week and blew them up. My best day personally on the lake. It just worked out perfect. But tonight, guys, brought to you by Serve IT. If you have a company, big or small, and you need IT, 100% IT services, Serve IT is the company for you. They're American-based out of Kennesaw, Georgia. Check out Serve IT. They're big into customer service. They want to help your business. Their they're wanting to help you help yourself. So reach out to Serve IT if you're looking for any kind of IT needs. Also, if you're looking to make a career change, reach out to Serve IT, go to their careers page. You got to be customer service oriented, but see if they're a fit for you. They'll work with you on that. See if you fit for the company, and maybe you can work with them on that. Question of the night is going to be a little bit more difficult than we've been doing the last couple of times. I think I can't remember what you guys had Tuesday night, but
how old Alex was?
How old Alex was?
Because it blew my mind. I didn't know.
I don't even know how old I didn't see that part. I don't guess. I must have missed
How
that.
old do you think?
What's your guess?
How old do I think you are?
Yeah,
30.
You're wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Caz, how old's Alex?
33.
Probably 24. Up?
No.
I'm pushing 40.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll be 40 in a couple years.
there you go.
38.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not bad. I thought you were
I think he's doing pretty dang good.
yeah, dang real good.
All the Sour Patch Kids, dude. Keeps my boyish figure.
He's pickled. He's pickled's what it is.
Yeah.
It's pickled. Well, anyway, so I sat here and I come up with one. So I'm gonna ask. There's 2-part question. So answer both parts at one time. Don't answer them both separately. Otherwise, you're just gonna give somebody else
Gotta
the
be in
answer.
the
Right?
same comment.
Yeah, got to be in the same comment. How old was Caz Anderson when he first appeared on the FNG podcast? That's the first part. Second part, what was the date the show aired? Again, I'll ask him one more time. How old was Caz Anderson when he first appeared on the FNG podcast? And what was the date the show aired? And again, you guys will win a Berkeley Cane Walker.
Nobody will get the day it aired. No way. Maybe.
It's easy to get.
Is it?
It's super easy.
Yeah.
I won't divulge it, but it's super easy.
Yeah.
Super easy to get. First person to get that, Alex, help look for the for the
I'll
comments.
I'll
do a
keep an eye out.
research.
And now I forgot what I was going to ask a minute ago. I mean, it's kind of a long, drawn out question, I think.
Well, you're
now.
talking about Pickwick.
Oh yeah. So
There he is.
there we go.
He got one part right.
No, he got both. He got both according to the video.
Really?
Yep. Is that the first one?
I thought I was.
Perks of watching TV and commenting on my phone.
It's Thad. That one on that one on Thad. I think Thad got it.
Thad
Didn't he?
got it,
Thad
yeah.
got it.
Give it to him.
Thad got it. He was 17 years old, according to when you and Danny were talking. He was talking about you being 17, and it aired March 24th, 2020. Very good, good job, man. So you get the Cane Walker. Thad,
He's been
I'll.
winning a
Dude,
bunch.
he's got a dang. He
Yeah, he's
racked
got a
up on
stack. He's
two
got
Danny's-
like 3
Speed
prizes
dial.
over there.
Danny's gonna be
Came-
like,
That dude came in here today and looked at the question.
so that was really good.
He's
Good
taking
job.
over for me. That was my original job at Fish North Georgia. was
Somebody guessed
winning the
25.
quick Question.
You're not even 25 yet.
Somebody else guessed
12.
12.
12. So yeah, the show aired 5 years ago, and you were 17 at the time. So we've been around for a while. And Danny, I quote, called you a prodigy back then.
Yeah.
So just saying, doing good things. But anyway, Thad, congratulations on that. All right, so going back to Pickwick, because I don't want to just go glaze over some of the other great tournaments you've had, but it kind of goes into that part of it. How are you able? And I know this is probably an impossible question to answer completely, but how are you able to go to a body of water like Pickwick or Hamilton even and figure out how you're going to fish that lake in a short amount of time? And I know
Yeah.
that's a very big, broad question.
No,
but-
I mean, I get asked that a lot, but like it goes down to seasonal patterns. You know, you kind of think about it, and then you look at the way that bass fishing is today. It's kind of narrowed it down a lot for us now to like have. There's a system to go into every lake nowadays with forward-facing sonar, and you kind of have this preconceived notion in your head of how the tournament's going to be won
right.
before you even get there.
Yeah.
And if you're not catching fish scoping with a minnow style bait, you're probably not going to win, which is far from the truth. Far from the truth. But like this is it's one of those things where it helps you narrow down and like you can tell what fish are doing so much faster. And on Pickwick, for example, you go into that tournament, it's pre-spawn. Fish are going to be feeding up to go on the bed.
Right.
So you need to find bait fish, and you need to find places that the fish are going to pieces of cover that the fish are going to stage on before they move up. Could be on the bank, could be offshore on Pickwick. A lot of stumps and stuff like that is what they love to get on there. Minnow and stumps on the Tennessee River is like one of the biggest things to do. Throwing a
Right.
glide bait, A-rigs, jerk baits, those style of things, right? that tournament, I did kind of go against the grain a little bit and went to the bank, chucked a spinnerbait around, and
Worked out though.
I just had I had the right weather, and it was the perfect storm. The first day of the tournament, I threw a Demiki rig and scoped for the measly 18 pounds that I had. I rolled into the weigh-in thinking, man, this is not going to be sitting half bad. 56th place.
Right.
Almost got booed off the stage.
Yeah.
You know, and then day two, the night before day two, I was down and out, man, and knew everybody was busting them on a minnow offshore. And I'm like, I guess I just suck. You know, like, I mean, I just can't catch them like these guys can, which, I mean, you know, I'm not really that great with that minnow offshore like those guys are. But I had this one area that the last 30 minutes practice, we had to be off the water at 2 o'clock, 1:30, rolling to the back of this creek. It's a little bit dirtier water. Water's like upper 50s. And I'm like, dang, it's like 5 degrees warmer. Throw around a chatterbait, catch a couple just like keepers, which is tough to get a bite there right now. You caught some big ones. The ones I caught on a minnow in practice were giants. Every one of them, 5 to 8 pounds.
Right.
Giant ones. But, you know, it's really hard to get 5 in a day. Most people, you talk to everybody, I caught 1, 2, 3. If there's somebody's like, I caught 3 good ones today, you'd be like, holy smokes.
Wow.
But up shallow, I had this one area I thought I could get a limit of fish because I caught a couple in the last 30 minutes pretty quick.
Right.
And I had my little limit stretch that played for a couple smaller keepers on day 1. Day 2, roll up there. We had a 60-degree night, and that's like the magic number. I'll never forget a guy telling me that one time. He's like, if you get a 60-degree night in the pre-spawn, it's about to go down.
Right.
And them fish move up. And rolled in there. I'm like, it's a little warmer, running down the lake, blast off, run to the back of this creek. Literally, like, within the first 3 or 4 casts, 6.5. Go down the bank, catch a 4 something, catch a couple more good ones, and go all across to my other main stretch. The channel swung up by this big pea gravel bank.
Mm-hmm.
There was bait moved up there, and I think every fish in this creek had moved onto this bank. Dude, it was every cast. I caught a 7-11, couple 5s. My co had 23 something out of the back of my boat. I had 28, and I bet we caught 4 other 20 plus pound limits.
That's crazy.
On a spinnerbait.
Yeah.
It was the most insane day of bass fishing I'll ever have. If it was an MLF format, 200 pounds.
Yeah,
it was insane.
It was an impressive video. I can only imagine what it was like being in the boat doing that.
So made the final day and went back there, and it got a little colder, so we didn't catch as many, but got the right bites and had 26 something the last day.
What was the difference in the leader versus you on Pickwick? Do you remember? I can't remember what it was.
I think 8.
I was gonna think 8
pounds. And the first day I had 18, you know, so that was like left the door wide open. Every day this year, man, at All American and that one, you know, you look back at it and you're like, man, if shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah,
I do believe, you know, looking back at, you know, hindsight's 2020. If we would have had that 60-degree night the night before day 1, I maybe would have caught a bunch, and, you know, you'd have had a big bag and could have been like, all right, I'm laying off of them.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to try to catch them again. And then, but you never know. Hindsight's 2020. It turned out a lot better than it could have, for sure.
That was absolutely an impressive. And again,
that was just a fun video to watch too. Like when you were watching somebody just wearing them out.
Oh, so my side was just bruised. Like, I'm driving to Sam Rayburn for the Open. And, dude, just you're on a high and you're so pumped. And my side was just shredded from just setting the hook so many times.
Yeah.
Was just catching numbers of good ones.
Right.
You know, wasn't grinding at all. It was just catching numbers of big ones, man. And it was memorable.
I can tell you right now, watching the Pickwick, that Pickwick video, that's when I knew I was like, okay, now I'm hooked, because like Clint said, that was just dang. It was a good video to watch, but it was literally day 2. When you got to day 2, it was every 30 seconds. It was a hook set, another fish, hook set, maybe some dry heaves. I don't know, maybe some of the stuff in there. I think I caught one in the Pickwick video that I saw. I was like, oh yeah, apparently this is norm.
Where'd you end up at Pickwick? 8,
11, 9. Yep,
okay.
9.
At the All American, it might have been day 1, or I think it was day 1. It'd been a while since you caught a fish, and you caught one, and you said, man, it's a good thing I caught it. I was starting to get a little geeked out.
Yeah.
What is your steps if you don't catch that fish? What do you do?
Oh, man. I'll throw all my darts with one hand at the board at the same time and see what happens. fishing's one of those things, and it comes with experience and age, and I'm trying to get there, man. I get the experience like a lot of these older guys have got to be able to make what separates guys. Like you watch the Jacob Wheelers of the world and the Dustin Connells, and those guys are making decisions on the fly better than anybody else.
Right.
Because weather changes, fish move, and, making decisions. But in that instance, I should have picked up on this. But that was my biggest fish of the day that you're talking about, Alex. And I was like a 280, and it ate my buzzbait like at my feet. And most of the fish I was catching, I'd throw it up there on the bank, 2 or 3 cranks. If you watch my practice video, they were getting it like instantly. And I didn't have a hook on it. They'd take it off. And that morning, man, I just was not getting the number of bites. And I was like, gosh, this is not good. Like something's going on. Nobody else is really doing this. I'm not sharing any water with anybody. I don't know what's happened. I got in an area later on that day. You always got to kind of have a backup plan. If that's the thing, when we go back to catching a limit.
Yep.
At Pickwick, I knew that the minnow and offshore for stumps, catching giants like that, somebody can catch 5 of these fish a day and win the tournament. I've just got to figure it out. Day one of the tournament, a lot of times is a practice day, but you got to have an area to back up on to make sure you come in with 5.
Right.
And, that was my shallow bank where at Hamilton, there was these groups of fish roaming around chasing bait that were pretty easy to catch on a minnow, and you figure that out in practice. So I was like, all right, I always got this in the back of my mind. If it goes to pot and I can't catch fish on this buzz bait, I can just go minnow me up some. When I didn't have, day one, I think I had 3 keepers at 11 something. And I'm like, dude, everybody in the field has a limit but me probably.
Right.
Went out there and minnowed me up 2 pound-and-a-halfers real quick. And, dude, that eased my nerves so much. And just sat there and just caught some and culled up nickel and dime. And I'm like, all right, the buzzbait just might not be the deal. But I mixed it in because you never know when you might get that 4-something pound bite and just change the whole day around on the buzzbait. Because I'd had some good bites on it, man. And I changed colors, changed areas, ran all my good stuff. And I finally got in this one little pocket where I could tell, because on the seawall, you can tell, with the water line, but it was pretty windy the night before. So I'm like, this water's slapping up against it. There's no way this water's fell this much. And I finally got in the back of this little pocket, and there was this little pipe that I was throwing at, a little white pipe. And I caught like a 3-pounder off of it the first day of practice. I went back to that pipe. It was dry.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, dude, this is what's happening. Why didn't I see this earlier?
Gotcha.
And I've got to be more attentive to current and water levels and things like that. I got to find a way to pay more attention to that, like before the tournament. But for me, had I looked at –
But that happened in a few days.
It happened the night before the tournament.
Yes,
say I look at that morning at blast off, and I'm like, oh, the water's dropped 8 inches. I'm probably spun out for the entire day. I'm better off not knowing. Figuring it out.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm looking at it. Some people, it helps to prepare, but at that case, I'd had such a good practice in my mind. I was so confident with the buzzbait that if I thought that it wasn't going to be good, then I probably wouldn't have caught nothing.
Yeah, but the biggest takeaway from that I got was have a backup plan. Don't just, because I'm guilty. I'm like you.
Always have a way to catch a limit.
Yeah.
Always have a way. If it's possible. Sometimes it's just not. Sometimes you just have to grind. But if there is easy, low-hanging fruit out there to be caught, lay off that as much as you can in practice, because you can bet your hind end that other people are going to smash them. And if one more boat ain't on there, take it easy and flick it and win the tournament to catch them.
That's some dang good advice, because I watch guys drive by the low hanging fruit, and I'm going, well, I know at least there's 5 going to be there the rest of the day, because they're there, in these typical spots. That's a good thing. Justin Ramos said, keep up the good work. Silver Punk says Thad built his tackle box off of the show. Silver Punk, speaking of top water, do you throw a popper? What's your favorite?
It depends on the time. I love a popper. Walking style baits, a lot of open water like these herring lakes. Cane walker on a windy day, it's hard to beat it. A popper style bait, chug bugs are real popular around this area.
Right.
Berkeley Driftwalker, skimmers, things like that are cut, old school Lucky Craft Sammy, something with a not
Pencil.
a cup to let, just a pencil style bait that's real quiet when it's calm outside. Sometimes they want that, but cater to the weather, and the fish will tell you pretty quick.
Yep.
So it's a lot. If I go to other lakes around the country and fishing shallow this time of year, I always start, especially in practice. I never that was the thing. I had a popper. I never caught a fish on a popper in practice for the All American, but I had 2 or 3 of them tied up for the morning, because you can't fish a popper in practice because it takes so long.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you go
you're not covering any water.
You go 100 foot in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I ain't got that kind of time. So be ripping around. But, in the tournament, you might slow down a little bit, make a couple casts with it. But be efficient as much as you can is my best advice on that.
Now, I did notice, and I know it's not top water, but I did notice on a couple of videos in tournaments, you pull out a glide bait and throw a glide bait out there in front of them.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty impressive, because you don't hear – I guess you know about it, but you don't hear a lot of people talk about people throwing a glide bait during tournaments. They're like, oh, that's not tournament technique. That's more of, whatever.
These days with live scope, these people weight these glide baits up and chuck it out there. And I mean, it's a way to catch fish, especially there's a threshold for sure on this. Like there's certain glide baits that are the perfect size,
right?
Like that 5-6 inch glide bait that, gets bites. And then there's sometimes where you got these giant soft baits that are 6, 7, 8 inches long, and you got big 8-inch glides. And sure, there's times Lake Fork, certain places, and certain times it's what the fish want. But most of the time, man, you're just trying to generate bites, especially in a practice scenario. And there's never been a tournament that I've ever had where I've been keyed in on catching fish on a big bait. Like those don't exist hardly. So like if I'm throwing that, it's going to be a bait that has drawing power, and he's going to eat it because he's curious, not because he just wants to smoke the biggest thing in the lake.
Right.
You rarely ever find those fish.
Yeah, and I just noticed it because I just started throwing them literally here recently and finally got bit on it. But I noticed I think you were almost it appeared that you were kind of in open water doing it. So I figured you had it weighted up. I didn't know if you did or not. But I thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, you don't hear about that talked about much in tournament fishing.
When you're in practice and you're catching them, will you sit there and lay into them, or you just catch a couple and move on?
No, I'll definitely. I mean, you got to sample the product for sure. If you get an idea of what it is, like on a brush pile tournament on Lanier, Hartwell, Chatuge, you pull up, drop the trolling motor, you see a spot that's absolutely loaded. They're quality fish. Don't cast. But like on a ledge fishing tournament or a grass fishing tournament, I'll pull through and try to find a area where I can generate the most bites. And, clue me in on like a type of ledge or a type of bank or something. Like, always cut the hooks off my stuff most of the time once I've caught a couple and know like what I'm around. Because the size, like unless you're just catching straight rats, like if you're catching 2-pounders, there's 3-pounders to be caught. And if you're catching 5-pounders, there's 8-pounders to be caught, So I kind of take that advice and like set the hook as least amount as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get enough to get a good judgment call, and most times you can tell. But usually the last day of practice, we get 2.5. Sometimes mostly 2.5 days of practice. The first 2 days, I'll fish shallow for 5 minutes, deep for 10 minutes, shallow for an hour, and mix it all up, and until I start getting the vibe of what I kind of need to be doing. And the last day of practice, I've usually got in my head what I'm going to do, and I'll burn whatever I'm trying to do and try to find an area where I can get the most bites, and then I'll start there.
Okay.
And or maybe you figure out like, okay, I've had 6 bites down this bank that's a seawall, and I've had 2 bites or 1 bite a day down this bank that has grass.
Yeah.
I know that like those seawalls, I can run that in the tournament and have a higher percentage of getting more bites if you find yourself in a pickle.
Right. Now, speaking of that, so if you find seawall, you find them on a seawall in practice, are you going to check other seawalls?
Absolutely.
Or are you just going to check that one
seawalls that have similar contours?
Right. Okay.
Yep. So that's the thing. You pay attention to all the context clues, where you've got the most bites, where you've like figured out what's kind of going on. Wherever you notice that there's more activity, more bites, you kind of you pick up on that, and you look at your map and you're like, okay, well, the channel kind of comes into this one, or this one's real flat, this one has some rock, this one has, and you run try to find as much of that stuff as you can. That way you're never out of stuff.
Right.
You can always run. Somebody's on something.
Yep.
You never want to go into a tournament with one hole or
Exactly.
2 holes, done that. It's burned me. But, that's the last day of practice. I try to, if I can, and, that's the thing about fishing, man. There's never a system.
Right.
It just has to pan out,
Yep.
and you don't ever really know. You're just trying to do the best you can. And the last day of practice for the All American, I was, I knew I was going to chuck a buzz bait the entire time in my head.
Right.
So I glued a buzz bait in my hand and ran as much bank as I can that looked good and tried to find an area where I could get 5, 6, 7 bites in a row in an area. And I was going to key in on that and areas that resembled that around the lake. Whether I'd fished them before in practice or never had laid eyes on them, I was going to run it.
Okay. So with that being said, with the buzzbait thing, how long are you giving a technique when you say, all right, enough's enough. This is either not producing or it's not producing what I thought it was going to produce. How long are you fit? Because I catch myself in it all the time. I'm like, I'm going to throw a buzzbait this morning and I'll burn a whole creek up with a buzzbait and go look at the end of it and go, I didn't catch anything. I just wasted an hour of my day running this bank, in and out.
Yeah.
So
I always keep an arsenal full of rods, and every time, if I throw a buzz bait over a tree a couple times, a good looking tree, I'll pick my jig up and flip it in there if I didn't get a bite. And if one bites my jig, I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's something to that.
right.
And then just mix it in and, mix bottom, one up, one down, and, mix it in throughout, but never just go down a stretch, just chucking one thing until you're dialed in.
Right.
And you'll figure it
There you
out.
go.
Whatever you get the most bites. And a lot of the times, certain fish, dude, you could throw a flip-flop in there and he would have ate it.
Yeah.
But most of the time I mix it up. I'll catch a fish on one bait, stand back up to the troll motor. If it looks right to throw a crankbait and I was just throwing a topwater, I'll pick up a crankbait, throw it up there. You know, you just keep an open mind is the best advice to give anybody.
That makes sense. I mean, like I said, I'm guilty of running a bank with one lure and saying, oh, that's what they're going to bite on. And then look back after 100 yards and go, I just wasted 100 yards worth of time. I could have been doing something else. But learning a little more about stuff, I've gotten to where, like you just said, I'll throw a jig in that treetop, not just a buzz bait or whatever, So that's
What's
good.
your favorite buzz bait?
Oh, man, there's a Picasso Toad Slayer that I throw. And it's got a rusty little rivet that it comes with. I don't like a buzzbait with a head on it or a skirt. I always just straight toad buzzer and slide it up over the head. That way it's just the toad and the blade turning, and it skips really good. And it's real compact and neat looking is why I like it. They seem to engulf that really good.
There you go. Yeah, be careful saying what you like buzzbait wise. You'll get roasted in the comment section. Not here, but I put a buzzbait thing on there, and then people are like, "Oh, this one's better than that." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a buzzbait, guys. Come on."
Yeah, I'm not really experienced with all of it.
Yeah, I'll throw anything.
That's awesome.
Ryan, dude, awesome to see you in here. And Alex, I was going to get you to talk about Ryan a little more here, but always great to see Caz on. Such a great insight. He's absolutely right.
Thanks, man.
Go ahead, Alex.
Alex, go ahead and give us that. Give us an update on Ryan.
Ryan's doing good. He's at the Shepherd Rehabilitation Center in Atlanta.
Yep.
He sent me a picture Monday.
Yeah.
He's sitting in the wheelchair, got his own clothes on.
Good.
And he's still got a better tan than I do. He looks good. He's smiling. He looks happy. So seeing all the support from the fishing community has really pushed him to fight even harder.
Hell yeah, that's awesome, man. Because I told him, I said, man, fight, because we're over here fighting for you. You just keep your head up, and we'll take care of the rest. How far along are we? Do you know on the fundraiser as far as the GoFundMe goes? Last time I looked,
I'll tell you what. And last Tuesday, the GoFundMe had $5,500 in it,
Man,
and we're sitting over 20,000.
wow.
really.
And it's because of the fishing community, man. It's because of you guys.
I knew they were over 50% the last time I looked. I just hadn't looked today. I didn't
Yeah.
get a chance to look today. That's amazing, y'all. If you're not familiar, Ryan is he had a vehicle accident. He was involved in a vehicle accident.
He was in my truck
He was
with
in your
me
truck.
when
I didn't even know that.
wrecked it on the way home from
I didn't even know that
show.
until you said it on
Yeah.
that night. I didn't have no clue. But they found some stuff. Anyway, he's been through a lot of medical stuff lately. They need your help. The family needs your help. And you can go on any one of our social medias for the most part. Mine, Alex. We've shared the fundraiser. We've shared the kayak. I'm registered for a kayak tournament. I don't even own a kayak. So
I ordered one of them boards.
Yeah.
It should be here next week. So.
yeah, I've got one of those in the boat. I just don't have a kayak.
Wish you the best, Ryan.
Yeah, we sure do, man. Much love back to you, buddy. Can't wait for you to get back. He's got a long road ahead. I don't think y'all realize he's had a tracheotomy, stuff like that done. there's a lot of rehabilitation that goes along with something such an invasive type procedure. Learning how to speak again from everything. So they got a long ways to go, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure you meet that goal. I thought I saw another question up there. Oh, we'll go on that in a minute. But Thad Moody's he's making excuses for why he wins so much. That's what I want to touch on. Silverpunk. I'm on a 65-inch TV in the living room playing and commenting on my phone. I also live for trivia. So just Thad, I will give you a warning. There was a moment where me and Clint used to go back and forth on who won the most on trivia, and now we work on the show. We're not allowed to win, so just be careful with how much you win. Just so you know,
they used to not let me win 2 weeks in a row. So I would just skip shows.
Yep.
And come play the next.
Danny would send me about a hat once every couple of weeks, and then it was lures, and then it was like, next thing I know, me and Clint.
I was trying to get an evolved rod sleeve on every one of my rods. I think my goal.
I think you pretty much. I don't remember how many you had, but it was a pretty good run there for a minute. 5. Yeah, because I think I got 2 hats and a couple of baits, and it was like, all right, we're done. So
you're done.
You big. And then Kevin Thornton. Well, let's go above that. Tyler Outdoors. Caz, would you ever use an NBT graph for live scope?
Heck yeah, bigger is better. I haven't got one right now. I'm rocking an old 12 piece for screen limitation purposes, 55 inches in the opens. And I've got exactly 55 inches because I wanted to run every bit of everything, different companies and this and that. But
because you use a mixture of all of them.
Yeah, I've got a Humminbird, a Lowrance, and a Garmin up front, and a Humminbird and a Lowrance in the back.
Yep.
But it helps sometimes it doesn't. But I didn't want to be limited.
Right.
And a 12-inch live scope, I had a 9. I had a 9 until last year.
Yeah.
And I've scopes been out for so long, but I had a 9 until last year, and it worked just fine. The 12's a luxury, and anything bigger than that is awesome. But it's definitely, if you can see good, man, you're dialed.
Oh, yeah.
It don't matter.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. I was watching your videos, and I made a comment to somebody today, and I hope to God my wife's not watching. I made a comment today about maybe swapping over to Garmin. I'm on Active Target now, and I'm maybe swapping over to Garmin to see how it – because I've been on the boat with Kevin Underwood and saw his, but then seeing yours on screen, I'm like, that's so dang clear, seeing that.
It's pretty good. I'm probably going to switch to Active Target.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then, okay, wait a minute. Why?
Yeah.
Active Target 2, it's pretty legit.
I'm on one, and I like mine.
I've dialed some in on guide trips lately that have been very impressive.
Really?
Garmin's really good, but I think as far as accuracy, Active Target's 100% better.
Really?
100%. Yeah, like tone's narrower.
Yeah.
If you see your fish and the bait,
you're seeing
the same. You made a good cast.
Okay.
Garmin's kind of iffy past about 60 foot.
Okay, well you may.
And once your eye gets trained to seeing the fish moving around on Active Target, I think as far as when it comes to seeing your bait, I think it's better than Garmin.
Yeah.
There's certain little things, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try it. It's definitely really good.
Now, do you use an offset mount or 0 degree mount on your?
I use the Fish Obsessed mount.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
I do think that's a.
I've heard guys swear by. I've heard guys swear by it. I just haven't bought one yet.
There's as long as it's a 0 degree mount of some kind, because you can stare at a stock mount on a troll motor and do that thing.
Oh yes, cockeyed. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have a 0 degree mount.
Yeah, see, I'm still rocking the AT1 with the stock mount, but I've had it since day one and gotten used to it, so I don't notice the difference. But I've heard guys say
guys were actually way ahead of the curve on that because they were mounting them to those PVC poles.
That's true,
and
dead on.
And nobody really ever thought about it like that, but they had the clearest scopes of anybody.
That's a good point.
One, because they ain't got a troll motor blaring around, but two, like theirs was dead nuts accurate every time.
Yeah, that's definitely good. That's definitely a good point. Kevin Thornton, how did your co-anglers do?
They did pretty good. My co-angler at Pickwick won the tournament, actually.
Did he really?
Yeah, well, my co-angler from day 2 that caught 23 pounds, he won.
He did win.
He ended up winning.
Heck yeah.
He won a boat. My co-angler from day 2, he was down and out. He had 4 pounds on day 1, and then he had almost 8 with me the day that the big comeback day at the All American.
Yeah.
Levi Allgaier from Kentucky. And like I said, me and him had the most memorable day. He caught some big ones, catched him on an underspin behind me. He was kicking my butt for a bit. And he almost made the final day. And then my co-angler the last day, his name's Harold Grizzle. He's from Gainesville.
Okay.
And that was crazy to be all the way up.
Yeah.
And he did good. He caught some fish. I was a co-angler for a few years in the opens.
Yeah.
Did it for 3 years. And my travel partner, Mark Frazier, he's on the Elite Series now. He made the Elites while we were fishing. I was his link and co-angler partner, and I learned a lot through that. And so, I get the co-angler thing, and, I always love chopping it up with a good one. It's a lot of fun having somebody that's good in the boat with you. It stinks these days, with scope and everything. It's really tough to be a co. Scope was just coming on whenever I was kind of my last year of co-angling, but man, there's no better way to learn than be a co-angler.
Yeah, think so. I mean, I'm not asking things like question, because I've heard people say the same thing, and I've heard guys are like, the heck with co-angling is terrible, and
if you're co-angling BFLs, it's rare. That's why I hated that they did that away. That's my only big complaint about the opens too. They did away with co-anglers in the opens. Man, that was really the only chance that, because a lot of guys, are out there just cause, and a lot of guys are out there because, I genuinely was eager to learn, man.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'm 16 years old, eligible to fish, and just wanting to travel around and fish, financial means. Some guys, can't go and travel and tow a boat everywhere. Right. Most people can't, dude. It's high. And so I went out there and fished, and that was probably the last opportunity for guys that wanted to learn to fish with somebody legit every single time.
Right.
Yeah. So that really stinks to cut them out of that opportunity, because no co's are really out there to just, nobody's paying the mortgage.
Yeah.
You're just out there to learn and get better as an angler, and you might not have the opportunity to do it out of your own equipment. So I think co-anglers need to stay in the sport as long as possible.
Right.
And
I
treat every one of mine like gold,
dude.
Until treat others the way you'd like to be treated.
I was gonna say, man, I watched all your videos that I've seen so far, and you're probably one of the most even talkative to your everything's a fist bump, a hugs. It was a full-on bro fest on there. But that's great, because I've heard so many negative things. That's one of the reasons I've never got into co-angling.
Man, you hear all the negatives. Nobody talks about the positives. I've just met some. Dude, some of my boaters from years ago in the opens, man, we're like this, and I'll see them out now, and now that I'm fishing the boat, I'm like, hey man, you remember me from back in the day? And they're like, oh yeah, dude, they're great people that, I look at it as, hey man, they invested a day with me, and, it wasn't by their choice, but you learn something. My dad always preached this to me, and, my dad fished a lot, got me into it, but, he let me go with whoever I could, and whoever would let me, because you learn something from whoever.
That's
and that
true.
was the best thing I ever did for my fishing,
well,
for sure. Co-angling's awesome.
Well, good. That's a maybe you never know with live forward-facing sonar, active target, live scope, whatever you want to call it.
Regardless of how it is, man, it does stink when you get kind of took out of the race in your mind.
Yeah,
some dude's out there in 100-foot chasing around. It's tough, but there's still, you got to stay positive. There's ways to catch fish. Chuck your bait out there and try and watch and pay attention and learn. Especially, whether you do have a boat or you don't, and you just want to learn, or if you're a younger guy, dude. Always, 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 I encourage everybody, before jumping to the front of the boat, start as a co.
Yeah.
No matter how good you think you are, start as a co. Because traveling around, and I wanted it so bad my freshman year of college. I'm like, I've done co-angling, I've done pretty good, won me some money. I'm going to go and be a boater for the opens and try to make the Elite Series. Dude, I got clapped. And it wasn't even funny. I never sniffed a check. And but yeah, it was one of those things, man. Had to learn and go through college and fish with as many people as possible, and then make that jump when the timing's right. But don't be afraid of being a co-angler. That's for sure.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. I just hope, like you said, the only way, unfortunately, I think the only way co-angler comes back to the opens if they do something with an active target or the forward facing deal to get more co-anglers to want him. I think that's what happens.
That's the problem, man. Is a lot of interest is gone.
Yeah,
for sure.
And
it's a lot of perspective too. Like a lot of co's were upset that they can't fish them, and some were overjoyed. I've had some snooze with me before. They're just back there taking a nap. I'm like, man, just do whatever you want to do. Some people just do it for their own enjoyment.
Yeah, and
some people do it because they're really eager to learn, and you have to cater to everybody.
I know when I got back into this, got my boat, and I was thinking about doing some BFLs, but I was going to do co-angler because I'm like, never done a tournament, big tournament like that before. And one of the older guys was like, man, if I was going to do co-angler right now, I'd carry me a pocket full of shaky heads and a bag of worms and brought one rod. He said, and just watch what the other guys do, learn from the other guy. And you
100%.
get to fish with a shaky head a little bit all day, but you're still learning from the boater.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. Like, I learned this too. If you ever try to fish the same technique as your boater, done.
Really?
Like clean up, throw the most nonchalant Nico rig shaky head drop shot, grind the chatter around, and just throw
fish
stuff that gets bites.
Yeah,
you want to do good.
Yeah,
I mean, your money's as green as anybody else's is,
right?
But that's what I did. I just drug a shaky head around and pick you up 3. And
yeah.
If you can come in with a limit or consistency catch fish as a code, dude, you're going to be at the top.
Yeah, I was so happy when
But like a lot of people, you'll catch one on a top water. Oh, I'm going to pick up my top water. You know, why would you want to throw the same thing as me? I'm making the best cast every time. Throw something a little different.
Yeah.
It's all mindset.
Clean up
for
a little
sure.
bit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I thought it was so great when you on the Pickwick when your dude come in with 23 pounds. I was like, how many?
That's insane.
How many times do you hear that?
We
ever
had
happen?
50 pounds of bass behind the seats, and we're cruising in, and dude, back deck swamped. We've pulled all day. Oh God, that was insane.
So I did have a question, just for my own knowledge. When I was watching your videos, you open up the live wells, you've got your regular coal tags in there, and then you have those little small ones, almost like radio tags. Is that just a separate, different
So that's
deal you got?
something new that my friend Travis made. And I actually talked about it with him today. Travis Malone, he owns T-Bone Rigs.
Okay.
He's out in Tennessee.
Okay. Great
Alabama rigs. And he made me some coal clips.
Yep.
Or coal tags that the health of the fish is way better clipping one on the dorsal fin of the fish. I think DD26 makes those too. Travis makes them. Hit him up. T-Bone Rigs. I think he's on Facebook.
I'll check him out.
Give him some coal tags. I think he charges like $5 for them.
Yeah.
But you hook them on the back of the fish. The only thing I was telling him today, like if I'm not culling a lot, or like if I got some big ones, in there that I want to know which one's which, like a Pickwick, for example, those big ones aren't that hard to catch in the live well. But the little ones, if you're culling them out a lot, I like the big ones that I can just grab and see. Because the other ones, they can swim down.
Kind of hard.
The overall health of the fish, drastic difference clipping them on their fin.
Okay.
All it is gator clips with the colored zip ties that are color coordinated to my Bubba scale.
Okay. Yeah, I saw you reaching past the big ones, and you reached there and got that little pack out and opened it up. I'm going, I wonder what to do. I didn't know what there was a reason.
I'm just trying it out. And I did notice if my fish were, little fish, it's hard. Anytime they keep their mouth open and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
None of those mouth coal tags are really good for them.
Right.
I think the puncture ones were better for them, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, than those mouth ones. I mean, run it up through their gills if you
some
have
of those,
to.
Some of those
it's just a
clips
little thin wire that can close their mouth, but the ones that keep their mouth open like
Yeah.
that, I mean, heck, you're better off poking.
I was like, some of these clamp ones they got now, they're pretty good sized clamps they got on there.
For
So
sure.
that definitely makes a difference. What we got next here, David Weaver. Do you think that severe wind direction change makes you change what you had planned to do?
Yeah, to an extent. Sometimes the wind brings in weather changes, and certain times it can bring in cold weather, hot weather, and change the water temp up. You got to think about all that. But all in all, on a lake like Hamilton, where he's talking about, I saw a comment pop up a while ago. The wind direction really. I always try to follow that wind. If I'm thinking I'm around fishing, it's going to bring you around more activity. As long as it ain't messing up the water quality that much, I think wind is pretty good most of the time.
Wind is your friend.
Wind
right?
is your friend. You're going to get a lot of bites.
All right, let's get down to the juicy comments that Bork and Ian were talking about down there. Top 3 fast food biscuits go.
Hardee's, Bojangles, and number 3. Gosh.
Come on, you're missing a fat one.
Really?
You're missing a good biscuit.
From like a chain?
A chain.
Put me on.
Talk to your boy G.
Oh, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A, is that even fast food? It's so good.
It is almost too good to be fast food, isn't it?
I mean, I'll say Hardee's is my number 1 all-time whatever. A bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit from Hardee's is the best, bar none. Chick-fil-A's number 2. Rounding out the top 3, you got Bojangles.
I like it.
Yeah.
I know you said don't go to Circle K.
Circle K, dude.
You had one of the videos. You was eating a yogurt after you went and bought a biscuit. You're like, don't go to Circle K. It's not good biscuits.
You can run across the worst biscuit. You can go to the same gas station 2 days in a row, and you have the best biscuit of your life and the worst biscuit of your life.
That is
Depends on who's making them.
I hate sausage biscuits. I can't stand them. There's nothing worse than a big gristly piece of sausage on a piece of bread that just makes me want to.
So what's your Hardee's order?
Bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit with some hash browns and a big old Coke in the morning. You do give me that, I'm a happy man.
Does that not just get your bowels flowing? It's got to.
Yeah, but I mean, we all need a good cleansing every now and again. Hardee's are hard enough to find these days that, it usually comes at the right time.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. Mine's
Hardee's is scarce, dude. I've need new brakes on my truck after the last one I saw. Lock that sucker down.
definitely few and far between. That's for sure. Let's see here.
Cascade in on your mic a little better.
Yeah.
Been back.
Thanks,
away.
Ian.
He's been scared of it.
Yeah. So that's the bad thing about that chair. Everybody drifts on that chair, so it happens to the best of us. And then we had somebody up there, Johnny Grimes, taught Caz how to park the boat like a king.
Johnny Grice, that's my dad.
Grice, okay.
First boater I ever had. He was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. I was on Toledo Bend Lake in February.
Yeah.
After day one, I was in 4th place of the Bassmaster Open of 16. Dude, come in, and there's how people pull their boat up on the bank. Dude, there's this grassy, pretty little bank at Toledo Bend. Johnny Grice is an older fella, and he hit the bank and mashed the gas, and dude, I'm telling you, he stood up, unbuckled his life jacket out of the cockpit, and stepped over his gear shifter and was on the bank.
Wow.
3/4 of the boat was on land. Wow. He made sure it wasn't going nowhere. It was so funny. It took a crane to get that boat back in the water.
I was going to say, how to get him back in the water.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what I was doing. I thought he was going to land us in the parking lot.
Wow.
It was hilarious.
So it was intentional?
Oh, yeah.
He just beached it.
He'd done it a time or two.
Okay.
No, his through-hole transducer was on the ground.
It was through grass.
Yeah, for sure.
That's wild, man. Holy crap. Somebody said Martin's in there. Sphinx gas station biscuits are the best.
That Daniel's grocery store by Lanier's pretty good. They got some good biscuits.
Yeah.
And then Tyler Outdoors, that's where I mess up fishing co-angler with my buddy, trying to skip jig behind them. Besides trying something else. I think that's what you were saying. Don't do the same thing.
Simple as your friend as a co-angler.
Oh, yeah.
Back. I find myself slinging something out there and just dragging it every time I'm on the back of the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A lot of times you get bit.
Have you had any bad co-anglers?
No. I've been. I mean, I'm always really nice. So I think that kind of, I put myself in a position to not have many bad experiences if I can. Yeah. I've never had anybody do me wrong.
You definitely set the tone. I mean, I can tell when you're talking about picking them up. You pick them up. Everything's man, I'm happy go lucky. We're fishing. No need to be sour, and I'm going to talk as much as I'm able to. Right.
You've done pretty good with your intros. You're like, we got old Beavis riding with us, and I always wait on them to leave you hanging, and every time they eventually find the fist bump, I catch up. Yeah. I'm still waiting on somebody to just completely leave you hanging.
Man, I've had some pretty weak ones, but I mean, it's fun. I've had some experiences.
I know you had the one who was there. He completely missed you on the knuckle bump. You're driving and he completely missed you.
Me and you had some bad ones a couple weeks ago. We were doing turkeys and misses and white boy high fives.
Insane.
That's too funny. Waterfront.
Yeah, Waterfront's got some good biscuits.
You can't go wrong. I watched a tournament I fished over there last year at Gunnersville, and they literally, the guys were we're waiting for blast off. They finally, it was like, nope, we got to get a biscuit. So they all went and left. They didn't care if they were blast off.
If I have a tournament at Gunnersville, I'll be at Waterfront till 9 a.m. Just sitting there chilling, drinking me some coffee, eating biscuits. All the older guys from the town of Gunnersville, you could find them in there.
Heck yeah.
You can learn a thing or two around that table in the morning.
Yeah,
it's fun.
We got there real early, and they hadn't started making them yet. So the guys were like putting in. They're like, "Well, we'll catch the tournament when we get time. We're going to do the biscuit first." I'm like, "Hey, it must be pretty good." But
no doubt, it's real good.
What makes a good gas station biscuit? Like what's
tin foil wrapper?
Okay,
tin foil wrapper is crucial. You notice a trend in that the tin foil's the deal. A lot of Crisco.
I was going to say the Crisco. A
lot of Crisco that you can tell, like if it's falling apart in your hand, it's phenomenal. And then, at Waterfront, they got the big griddle back there where they're making the homemade eggs and bacon and stuff like that. And obviously, I mean, that's insane. You couldn't make a better one at your house.
Yeah.
And, those are very, very few and far between. Waterfront's just supreme because you've got the most fishing tackle you've ever seen right behind you, and somebody's cooking you a fat old biscuit right there, right in front of you. You can't beat that. 10-4 wrapper, though, if someone's serving you one 10-4 wrapper, it's the deal. You walk in there and you see some Jimmy Dean wrapper slapped over it, and you got to break the seal with some paper. That'll send you to the woods, brother.
Yeah. That or you go in there and they say we serve biscuits, and you go in there and it's a canned biscuit, and you're like, come on now.
I mean, I've settled for worse. For sure.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm gonna eat something like that, I'll eat a Pop-Tart, I guess, or something. If I'm gonna go that bad. What pro far dog down at the bottom? What pro angler have you used to learn the most from, even if it's long ago videos?
I guess like from watching videos.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Well, it could be anything. I guess we'll go anything.
I have a buddy of mine. I got to be good close friends with Jordan Lee and Jacob Wheeler. So my high school fishing partner was neighbors with Wheeler, and we became friends. And I actually bought his boat. And Jordan, has always been extremely outgoing, toward the nicest guy in the world. And I've got to fish with both of them, and they've been two good mentors to learn a lot. And I mean, I've learned a ton. You can't even process it all after a day of fishing with those guys. I mean, it definitely is. It makes you feel like lesser of a fisherman for sure.
So what would you say is different? I mean, I know it's hard to answer. I don't know. What would you say they're doing different than the average person is that
thought process, decision making, and attention to detail is next level.
Yeah.
And they've done it enough to where it comes natural, and, they've got a system down that works for them, and they do their own thing, and it's almost to perfection. So
they're just doing it so much until they've gotten it down to like you said, a perfected art. And it's just okay. Well, I mean, I think we all, we see these guys on TV and we critique them sitting in a chair at home, and that goes for everybody because we all do it. And then, but you don't really know until you get on a boat with a pro that's done it.
Some are so simple that you're like, man, why can't I do this?
Yeah.
But that's just their style.
It's just
they're very good at it.
Watch them where it's like watching.
So efficient.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's like watching, somebody frame a house, which is what I don't do it myself, but I work in that industry, and, I can do it in my head. I know how the process works, but if I went out there to do it, these guys are doing it every day. They'd laugh at me. I'd be puking. I'd be throwing up, but it wouldn't be from catching a big fish. I'd be from, but yeah, I mean, so that's, Tyler, good to have you out here today. We appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping by. We're almost done because it's we got about 7-8 more minutes, and I'm, unless you guys got any more questions.
Throw out any last minute questions you got for
if you got anything,
make them Crisco juicy.
One last thing I'll ask you while we're waiting on anybody else got a question. What is the one thing about the pro scene tournament fishing that you dislike the most? Like if you had to say this is the one thing that if we could just figure out something else, and I'm thinking travel, it could be anything.
Yeah.
What's the one thing about pro fishing that you just absolutely just the worst thing?
Oh, I guess it's good that I'm puzzled because I'm pretty happy.
That's
with
good
everything.
then.
I mean,
because you brought up travel earlier. That's when you said, when you went through that little time that you said travel was kind of being away all the time. That traveling thing was kind of the hard part.
Yeah, I mean, it can be. I mean, it's might not, but in this day and age right now, the complaining.
Okay.
We're lying if we say that this is, world's divided right now with leagues and this and that. And I tune all of it out and be your own person, be a good dude, and fish the way you want to fish.
There you go.
And it pulls down to about that. But I mean, gosh, man, that's a whole nother tangent. You can find a million other people that are trying to get clicks on getting those videos going, but it ain't me. But that's the thing that irks me is you go to tournaments and everybody's, sometimes seems down and out to be there, maybe because of rules, maybe because of live scope, maybe because of this, that.
Right.
Man, we're fishing and
could be way worse.
Dude,
could be way worse.
Zero complaints coming from me. I promise you.
Yep.
It's a fun lifestyle.
We got one bait to use the rest of your. I'm sorry, we got some more questions above that, don't we? What's a Becky? Darian, he asked that earlier. That's one of the questions I was going. What's a Becky?
It's a giant bass. I mean, it could be anything. I just use Becky on the
You got to
Instagram
give us.
post.
You got to give us a good Becky then.
Yeah,
Like
Sally, Sheila. I mean, it could be anything. And then no direct. I mean, I know plenty of people named Sally, Sheila, Becky. I mean, no shade, but Becky. I mean, like when you hook one, be like, I got Becky. I mean,
There you go.
You know that
that's
it
what
ain't
we're
a
looking
little
for.
one.
I got a Becky.
Yeah,
Because I was actually thinking about tonight,
Becky's one you want to hang on the wall.
Yeah, there you go. Because I was thinking about tonight when we were getting ready for the show. I was like, oh, we're gonna have a Becky off and have you do the original version, and have Clint do the imitated version because we get Clint's all the time. We don't get to hear yours all the time. Becky, there you go. That's
Ain't
awesome.
No OG like Caz.
Caz, what you think about the aluminum Ranger boats?
They're solid. I've actually drove one a couple months ago. Things are rocket
Is that
ship.
the 208 or the what was it called? The bigger one with a 250 on it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a nice.
It's a
one.
Cadillac.
Yeah.
It fishes good. It's real stable, road good. Had it on Lanier on a pretty rough day.
Really?
Yeah.
You liked it?
70 mile an hour. Yeah. It was an awesome boat.
Yeah, because I had saw those at Bass Pro when I was there a few
buddy of
months
mine
ago.
that I went to college with, Drake Emby, he loves to fish shallow, and he has a aluminum Vexus,
Okay.
and it holds up really good. And I'd say it's a little bit better.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal. All right, next question. Favorite minnows? Coleman.
Oh, there's all kinds, man.
One of each.
As far as like small baits, I mean, Berkeley drip minnows solid. I'm not gonna sound like a dummy and not mention the depth Sakamata shad is probably the number one that's thrown, but it's a really effective.
Yeah.
Freeloader is a cheap option that there's not much that looks more like a little shad other than that thing. They bite that thing all the time, and that's about. I mean, I keep it pretty simple.
There you go.
It's more in the presentation than it is the bait.
Right.
I got caught up in the bait, and after traveling around a lot, there's all kinds of sneaky little baits and this and that. But I mean, if you're presenting it on the right size jig head and the right way to the fish on the graph, then you're gonna catch them.
Right. There you go.
Match the hatch.
One bait to use for the rest of your life from King of Bass.
One bait, probably a Nico rig. In this day and age, you can flick that thing forward facing sonar or not, it gets bit. You can mimic shad with like a smoke color worm. You can green pumpkin, fish it good in grass, fish it in wood, rocks, and it gets bites year round. Nico rig.
Okay, that's a good answer. Caz, where do you soft jerk bait setup, line rod, link, power action?
So soft jerk baits are like a fluke style bait. I've transitioned back and forth from bait casters to spinning rods.
Okay.
I like a bait caster pretty good because when they bite it, you can give them the work. But 7 foot to 7.6 medium heavy. You could even use a heavy if you really wanted to. But I use 15-pound fluorocarbon, an 8 gear ratio reel, and a 4/0 worm hook. Is my favorite deal. You can throw it a long ways dead into the wind on the heavier action rods because it's like a pool cue. It ain't acting, and blowing the line back at you. And when they bite it, if you got enough self-control to let them get it, you can really set the hook hard and grind them to the boat.
Okay. Where's tournament fishing headed in 10 years? How's it look in 10 years?
A lot more technology, probably. It's hard to believe, but a lot more probably. If I was betting, I'd say it's going to change, and I hope I think a good way to do it is where I hope it goes. I hope more catch, weigh, release process is put into the fishing. You got to have a weigh in, you got to have the fans involved, but bring your biggest one of the day into weigh in is what I would like to see. Bring the biggest one in, show one off for the fans, get the crowd jacked up, but the majority of the fish. Take good care of them, have an official on the boat. There's already marshals at all the major tournaments. Weigh that thing, turn it loose.
Yeah.
It's better for everybody.
I honestly think with the price of camera equipment, technology availability, it's not far before we see our little pot tournaments are going to be catch, weigh, release. And
I hope.
Video camera. You'll have a camera on the boat. Remember, y'all, you don't remember it, but I don't know if any of you guys, maybe Alex, because he's almost my age. Before cell phones, nobody had them. When they started getting them, all the old folks like, I'm not getting a cell phone. I'm not. And now everybody. My dad has a 70-something-year-old man has a cell phone. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's got cell phones. I
Takes
think
a while to adapt.
Yeah, I think eventually we're going to see it with the pot tournaments and the local deals that you're going to have a running the camera or some kind of technology that watches you while you fish and you do catch, weigh, release, and everything goes like that. So, what's a non-standard soft plastic color that has worked for you?
Non-standard. I'm gonna say the craziest thing. I mean, pinks, which is like on a drop shot style thing, but pink and chartreuse is a color that I use a lot.
Right.
Yeah, from certain worms and things like that. Like a floating worm style bait. Chartreuse flukes are really good. And for smallmouth especially, anything bright chartreuse is deadly. I'd say that's probably the most. I mean, because color wise, you got blacks, shag colors, green pumpkins, reds and pinks, and then you have your abstract whatever. So you got your shades,
right?
And those, as long as it's some variation of that, it really ain't making no difference between green pumpkin blue and green pumpkin gold. That makes no difference,
right?
But or watermelon and green pumpkin, tomato.
Yeah.
But like the something like chartreuse is probably my favorite to steer away from those groups of colors.
I got you. Well, guys, that wraps us up for tonight. It's been 2 hours. Caz, I appreciate you taking the time to come out here with us. And man, it was an awesome show. I don't know about you guys, but that 2 hours went by stupid quick.
It did.
The first hour went by fast. The second hour, I looked down a minute ago and went, it's almost 10 o'clock already. So
time flies.
Man, I appreciate you. Where are you headed next?
I'm headed to St. Clair in Michigan to fish some BFLs. And I'm going to be guiding a bunch this summer. So if you guys want to come on a guided trip with me on Chatuge or Lanier, 828-644-4392 is my phone number. And fishchatuge.com or DM me on Instagram and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yep.
So
what's your YouTube channel?
Hit up that number too.
All the single ladies.
What's your YouTube called and all that stuff?
Caz Anderson Fishing is my YouTube channel.
Yep.
Just look it up and check us out, man.
Yep. And we appreciate y'all stopping here tonight and hanging out with us, and appreciate all the great comments and questions, and we'll see you guys next time.
Later.
Thanks, failers and failets.